moved here from San Francisco year 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, big move.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do in San Francisco?
Oh, I was an accountant there. I've been boxing there too.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
Did you well, let me pull this. Go ahead and breathe through your nose. That's better.
Okay. So I met a guy in San Francisco, and then we just wanted to like build a family and settle down.
Yeah.
And this is like the place to be because it's quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and simple. So we did, but we separated last year.
Oh
So
no.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
It
okay. It
happens. Yeah,
happens. Yeah.
it happens. Did you know that Alexa and I actually separated years ago? We met in 2017 and then we dated through 2018. We met in March of 2017 or end of February. No, March. Then we dated because my birthday's in February, so we didn't do that together. Um, and then we dated all the way to like the end of 2018 and just ended. We weren't right for each other, and so 2.5 years, 2020, um, reconnected at the end of 2020, and like that was it. And then we started, and then by May of 2021, I drove out to Florida in my truck from Oregon and went and picked her up, packed up her house, loaded her car on a trailer, and hauled her back over here. And we even stopped up, went through Chicago, all the way up to Minneapolis to see her parents, and then down to Nebraska to see her grandma. And kind of did like this farewell tour. It was fun. It was cool.
So what? So what was the difference between the first time that you guys were together and then the second time when you guys were connected?
Um, Main thing, just age. Just got older. We were both really young. 2017, I think I was just turned 22. I'm 22. She's 23. And I mean, I just turned 22 like the month before.
Mm-hmm.
So we were really young. I was a mess, just all kinds of so the first thing I could tell you, this is kind of set the stage for you. So the first time we met, um, she just walks up to me. But the first time we went out, and I didn't even say anything, she walks up, she goes, "Can I pet your dog?" as she's petting my dog. And I was like, I have full on over the ear headphones on in the gym, like, don't fuck with me vibe. And she's just like, "Can I pet your dog?" And she's looking up at me, petting my dog. And I was like, okay. And then she bolted and took off. And before she left, she goes, "I stalked you on Instagram." So again, I'm like, who is this? She takes off. And so I was like, all right, well, piqued my interest. Like, who stalked me? 10 likes. I was like, oh, must be her. And then within a week, I think we went out to the gym just on a little gym day. I wasn't real sure about her, right? That's really
Mm-hmm.
creepy. And she's like, "I stalked you on Instagram and I'm going to pet your dog without any permission or anything." And so we went out. She was cool. And the first time we went out, I took her back home and I was real broke. And so I said, "All right, we can go back to my place. I'll make you some food. Um, but before you get in this car, you should know I don't have registration. I don't have insurance. I don't have a license. I just moved from California. I
Mm-hmm.
got weed in the trunk and I got a bong in the car. And it smells
Damn.
like weed. So if you get in this car, you might end up walking home. Just so you know." And she got in the car. In California, the laws are a lot more. They don't really. They're not going to send you to jail over a suspended license on the first offense. But in Florida, it's extremely strict. Like if you got pulled over with a suspended license, you're at least going overnight. And then the reason I didn't have the insurance or registration, you lose your license, you can't register the car. You can't register the car, you can't have insurance. So it's just a domino. And so, yeah, I was totally an outlaw at the time, just running, trying to stay away from the police. And she didn't care. So that kind of puts you in that's the mindset, the place I was at in my life, just
Mm-hmm.
reckless and wild. And she was equally the same, but in her own way. And so we just had to mature and get older. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in a position to be responsible. Like I was still getting out of debt and trying to get my criminal record and trying to pay all the fines and take care of all that. So
Mhm.
we just weren't in the right spot. And then years later, I had moved to Oregon and I had my finances in order, had my own place, had my life together, did everything that I told her I was gonna do. We couldn't do it together. We had to go grow on our own. And then when
Mhm.
we came back, we were still learning and growing, but much more to a place where we could actually like work together.
How did you reconnect again? Like
She
from
kept stalking me. She's really so creepy. So, talk about perseverance. So she never stopped stalking me. Actually, she so I'm not like looking every day. If I post a story, like, oh, who looked at my Instagram story? So every once in a while, I might be laid off of a job or snowed out or something and bored or just bored. And so 3 times in a year, I checked it,
Mhm.
and 3 times I caught her. And the first time she makes this fake account, but then goes, "Hey, new account. Make sure you go to my old account, like my actual
Mhm.
account." So she tags herself in her fake profile that she used and created to stalk me. I was like, obviously that's her. So I screenshot that. I was like, what the fuck is this? Screenshot that. 6 months go by. I see it again, but this time it's a real account. And I had a time in this period where I just said, you know what, I'm gonna unblock everybody. Like enough time has passed to where these people aren't bothering me anymore. I'll just unblock them from my phone, from my any socials. And so she had access to the account, and that's when I caught her again, and then one more time I caught her, and I did a bunch of mushrooms, and I was like sitting there high as fuck, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call her out on this shit. And I text her and I was like, what the fuck? Like, if you want to talk, just send me a message. Like, you see what I'm doing. You see, you see everything that's going on in my life. Like, you're not gonna reach out after all these years
Mhm.
and you're still stalking me. And so she did. She responded. And we talked for like 8 hours that night. And well into the next day. And for her at least, not 3 hour difference.
Mhm.
So yeah, and then that just was kind of it. And I was laid off, and I was like, "You should come out here." And she's like, "Oh, you should come out here. I'm working. You're not." And I was
Mhm.
like, "I have family. I have my dad, my brother and sister, my stepmom." I was like, "Oh, you're right. I should." So I just bought a ticket that week, flew out there immediately, and it was really nerve wracking to be at the door and like haven't even seen her in person in years. And never in my life did I think I'd even speak to her again. That didn't end well. And so I was just at the
Mhm.
point like I of course was still missing her, and she was the one, and I just thought I fucked up forever. I just came to terms with that, and it wasn't the case. And God, I mean, God put her back in my life, and here we are now with a daughter and doing great. So, yeah, it's a wild ride, but
Yeah. That was a
yeah,
great story
thank
though. It
you.
is a
Thank
great
you.
story.
Um, so you are in San Francisco
Mhm.
doing accounting, running
Mhm.
numbers. COVID kicked you out of that gig. Is that what happened with as far as like what pushed you the family, but was it also did it just happen to be during 2020 or was it a kind of a combined pressure?
Yeah, it's like it's everything in one. So basically we started like because in San Francisco it's really really hard to get a place like an apartment or a
Yeah.
house. So we actually rented a room inside a house, me and my
Wow.
daughter.
Okay. So
So
you have a daughter?
yeah, I have a 15-year-old daughter.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's me and her, and then I just work, and then I do boxing, and then I met this guy, and then he has something going on at his house too, like it's bad. So we kind of like got together, and then after a few months we lived with each other, and then we just can't fit in that room.
Right. Yeah.
And then I started looking at places, but everything in San Francisco is really really expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
You know.
yeah. I've worked down there, and I've been down there and spent a lot of time. And I had to live in or what's it called? Rio Vista, way past Pittsburgh, like way up the
Mhm.
Delta, 50 miles away, just to be able to afford to live in the city or
Yeah.
afford to work. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how far away the livable wages were. You know.
Exactly. And then I also work from home, and it doesn't work because my landlord has a baby.
Oh
So
shit!
it was really hard.
And you're in a room with your daughter.
Yes. And
Thanks.
then so we just kind of like decided to like move out of the bay, and we also like shooting and things
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked for a place where I could do, shooting and everything that I like to do when I get old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we found this place. It's perfect. It was perfect at first, and then this place is perfect for me. Until now, I like it because I thought when we separated, I thought I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna go back
Oh,
to
okay. So you're
San
like this
Francisco.
whole dream, this whole thing that we had imagined. That's just not gonna work. I'm gonna have to go back to my
Yes,
roots. Okay.
yeah, but I end up staying because I really like it here. I like the people, I like everyone, like it's really simple. It's
Yeah.
less complicated, people are less dramatic.
Yeah.
And
Especially during the 3 years since, right?
mhm.
So during that entire time, man. Yeah. Different.
That's why I like it here, and I just stayed, and then I just kept on growing and growing and growing, and then my daughter does the same thing, and then my brother came from the Philippines last year, and I took him here too, and he likes it here too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So Philippines. Did you live in the Philippines?
Yes, I
So when did you move across?
so I migrated here when I was 17.
Okay.
Yes, I was 17, and then I don't know. Philippines is like before. I always kind of like think of I'm gonna work here in America and then save money and then go back to the Philippines. That was
Right.
like the original plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now I don't even want to go back there. I just want to go there for vacation, because there's like really nice place there. You guys should go.
It's interesting you say that. My cousin would be really jealous. His dreams to go to the Philippines and live
Mhm.
there for a while. He's a well, he was a professional wakeboarder, and so the Philippines has huge cable parks. They're real big into
Mhm.
wakeboarding. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that
Mhm.
sport and scene, but that was like that still is one of his dreams to go there and wakeboard. And
Mm.
so yeah. So I've
Yeah.
heard a lot about my cousins over there, oh man, the Philippines, and I can't wait, and telling me
Mhm.
all about it. So yeah, it would be really cool to go.
Mhm.
Um,
It
that's
it
cool.
is. It
That's
is.
cool.
People are nice, like the thing is like if you're there and you're not well off, it's kind of like it sucks for you. But
Right.
since I'm already here and already established like stuff here and I have like, money to go there, it's like it feels nice. But
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
there, it was like it sucked. 'Cause
Uh, I spoke about this on talked about it several times, but on the last episode, so I'll just touch it briefly. But my family, and I've never lived there, and my family's from the Bahamas. On a quarter of my family, my dad's side, and he's actually a Bahamian citizen now, and he's dual citizen, and he was born there. And so, it's like totally different going to these other places, and it's just laid back. And I guess kind of does this area remind you more, or where'd you live at in the I'm not familiar with do they have urban areas, or is it just all so like townships, like?
Well, it really depends. Like for me, I was really like my family was really my mom's side is poor,
Okay.
and my dad's side it was kind of like well off. So I keep on going back and forth from to my mom, then my dad, and my mom, and my dad. So it's really different from each other. I like the I feel like I like the poor better because we're like near the beach and stuff.
Yeah, so the lifestyle's
Yeah,
a little more
like chill.
wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I go to my dad's, like his side is like in the city and stuff, and it's like so hectic, traffic, street
Yeah.
kids, you
So you
know.
got to see both sides.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is kind of a lot more like your mom's slow paced.
I
Yeah.
always wanted
People
to
know
be.
each other. You can
Yes.
actually run into people at the store and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah." That you don't do that in the city.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my main goal is to have a land like this
Mm-hmm.
place you have right here is really nice because I like animals
Thanks.
too.
Yeah.
So,
It was nice growing up here. And you know, when you grow up on land like this, you don't really comprehend what you have, you know what I mean? And
mhm,
we had more. We had everything you see across the street we leased for years, decades.
mhm,
And so that was that the old man and he was Japanese, and so there was like, just keep the money going and not a lot of communication, maybe once or
mhm,
twice a year, but he didn't speak English, and he's a big mogul, like business mogul. And so there was intermediate guy that lived here. Well, that all went south, and then my grandpa had tried to buy it more than once,
mhm,
but the old man wouldn't want to sell it. Well,
mm,
his son sold everything. He liquidated all of his assets and didn't tell anybody. And the guy that was living here is already gone. Like, he stole a bunch of stuff and money and just disappeared off the face of the earth, as far as we know. And so there was no one to even know to like let us know, hey, maybe you want to get ahead of this. And he found a buyer that had a blank check, some government contractor, and
mhm,
so there was no way to outbid him. And so that definitely sucked. And then so that was a little bit of like, man, we really did have the life.
mhm,
And so that got cut back, and he still has land and stuff. And then I moved to Florida, and you know, most everybody, even if you didn't have vast land, like you said, a lot of people in the area that I grew up in Red Bank and all these roads and districts out here outside of town, everybody had a little land. Everybody had a little BMX bike jumps and dirt bike or whatever.
mhm,
And so when I moved to Florida and I met people from the Carolinas and all the different kinds of people, I realized like, oh, because we didn't grow up rich. Like, we didn't grow up with wealth. It felt like it was check to check, and we got to do everything, but we had a shitty ski boat with towels over the seats because the vinyl was cracked.
mhm,
We had an old houseboat that was tiny, and it was so small you could put it on a trailer and haul it with a pickup truck. And we just had things, but everything, like that barn out there, you
mhm,
haven't seen it, but it's behind the house. It was we went and found it on Craigslist far into this place, and we had to like sleep in our truck, or maybe we got a room, I don't know. We took it apart in a weekend and had to like cut it apart, put it all in a truck, and send it up here. Me, my grandma, my grandpa, my sister, my mom, and my dad. And so we took it apart and rebuilt it, and it was like chipped paint and ugly, faded, never been painted or touched up. Like, that was just the kind of, we had things, but nothing was nice. And that was the thing. They always said, like, we can have a couple nice things, or we can have everything not nice. And so to me, I didn't really think of that as like having things. And my dad was always doing side jobs and working on cars all the time. So there was never a day where we were like sit back, like, oh, okay, we don't have to worry about money today. And
mhm,
so I didn't understand land as wealth, right? I just saw that we were in poverty, but we were working class.
mhm,
And I met some people out there, and they're like, "You had land? Like, dude, that's wealth." And
mhm,
it changed my perspective. And I tell them these stories like, "Dude, you guys were rich." I was like, "No, this land was given to us by my grandpa." But then I realized, oh, okay, that's a different kind of wealth. And it helped
mhm,
me to understand like wealth isn't about, like, just because you have money and assets and land doesn't mean you have, it's a different kind of wealth. And it's a wealth that this town really appreciates. And like, there's a community. And so it's, yeah, you don't have that. Living in the city is definitely totally different. And I took it for granted for years. But now that I'm back, I still kind of miss the city a
the
little bit.
city.
Yep. Not that I don't want to have some land,
Mhm.
but
Does she
I
miss it?
miss the city.
Does she miss it too?
Yeah. Yeah. So all she's ever done is been raised in the city. She never known
Mm,
anything but the city. So she lived in Palmdale, which is like it's outside of LA. It's still in LA County, and it's pretty big, six-figure city. To me, if you have six figures, if the population's six figures, that's a
mhm,
city.
Mhm.
Nothing from six figures start in Sacramento or end in Sacramento, and the
Mhm.
next six figure city is Eugene, Oregon.
Mhm.
It's 400 or it's probably 500 or 600 miles apart. That's a big
Mhm.
gap. And
Mhm.
so that's, yeah, she's never lived anywhere that wasn't a six figure population. So she's always had urban areas, you know, shopping malls, places that you
Mhm.
could just, like, we don't have a Buffalo Wild Wings. I love Buffalo Wild Wings. And we don't have one within 30, 40 miles. I have to go to Chico. And that's where I watch all my fights. I go
Mhm.
and watch, I'm addicted to the UFC. I
Mm.
used to own a gym myself, actually, and she probably didn't tell you that.
No.
Down in that town, so I lived across the river. I think it was called like, can't remember the name of the actual maybe Rio Vista. But the town I lived in was right across the river, 5 miles away, called
Mhm.
Ileton, 800
Mhm.
people, and so that gym was the only gym for the whole community of that city, this little city, and all these little cities around it. So
Mhm.
I knew everybody by name, and it was a really cool experience. It was 2 stories, had a dance room, full weight room, uh, sauna downstairs, had a massage lady
What
on
happened?
staff. So, and we had a full mat room and yeah, full had a black belt training our students, and my partner was a wrestling guy, big and like, I don't know what his accolades were, but he was a big wrestler, and even had his pro card for MMA and stayed on the regional circuit. But so that was his dream. And we
Mhm.
were welding partners, so we'd travel together welding all over the state. And he said we had saved enough money. I went out to Montana for 6 months, came back, had a plethora of cash. He had this dream. This place just happened to open up. So we just worked there for a few months for free, and it was just something to do. And he loved doing it, and he was training and getting to teach. And I started teaching the kids, and I just got to work out for free. And next thing you know, we're going through the books, and like, it's failing and people are leaving every day. And I'm like, I don't understand. Well, the guy was a creep, and these old people in their 80s owned it, but their son was running it, and he was embezzling money from them. So we managed to do a owner contract and just
Mhm.
buy him out of it. And but as that happened, and like I said, the community and everybody was starting to count on me and rely on me, and I knew my dream was to go to Florida to go get closer to my father, and I had to do that. And I knew if my life was starting to solidify, like it was starting to become cemented into this community, and I didn't want to like rip away from that later and like let these people down, you know? And
Mhm.
so I realized, like, okay, I'm at a tipping point. I can either stay and stay committed and this will be successful, or I can leave and pursue the thing that's been on my heart for years. So I just did that. I caught out, bought out, and left. Like in the middle of the night, went to a Sharks game. I love hockey.
Is it
And
still there though?
no, it didn't
Mm.
last long without me. So he was the brains of the gym. I was the accounting, and I was the guy that was good with money, good with people, good at sales, and personable. And he was more like doing classes and all this
Mm.
type of training and stuff. He had the expertise. I had the ability to be a salesman, essentially, you know.
Mhm.
And so once he didn't have that partner to do that, it was and it we didn't have enough money to pay anybody, so he couldn't be bringing in someone else. And so
Mhm.
yeah, it was kind of it just I don't know. It
That's
fell
kind of
apart.
like our
I checked in on
situation
it.
right
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah, like that's kind of like our situation. We can't pay anyone, so it's like we're all like we're doing the books, we're doing this, we're doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I still have some of my books, some of the accounting and stuff. I just look at it to like, okay, this happened. I did at one point. I did own a business. Like this was real. I had a
Yeah.
license. You know what I mean? This was a real thing. I could do that again someday. But the opportunity, it's a really this is a good community to get into doing something like boxing. There's not a
Mhm.
lot of opportunities around, but it's so hard to like get your name out there. Do
Mm-hmm.
you find that here? It was hard,
I feel like now it's easier because of social media,
right?
right?
Things like
Yes,
podcasts,
yes.
social media.
It's
Yep.
easier now, and I'm pretty good at like editing stuff,
Okay.
and making flyers
I've
and
seen some of your
stuff
clips
like
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like doing it. I sucked before, but I feel like in time I'm kind of getting better. And then imagine if I keep on doing that, I'll be better.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And like with me, I've got this YouTube channel and podcast, and it is a slow grind because I live in a trailer, a fifth wheel. I don't have space. It's nice now that we're back here. I can come in here and do it. And I got myself a shed, so I got a little like workbench studio in there.
Mm-hmm.
But before, I'd never even had all of my sets, my Lego sets, in the same room because I didn't have enough
Mm.
room. So I had like a storage unit, and I had it in my house. And
So how many Legos do you have?
ooh, well, I have an inventory on an app called Rebrickable, which is where
Mm-hmm.
you can like you can add every set that you have. It says I have over 100. Yeah.
Where is it?
They're all, I can show them to you actually. They're all in the shed over here. It's yeah,
So
it's
what is the hardest Lego piece that you
have
did?
built.
Yeah, you built.
Oh man. Okay. So they're really cool. They're huge. They're Lego Technic cars. They're 1/8 scale. And so they have four that they've made all together. Like Lego's only produced four models of this kind of car. They had a Lamborghini, they have a Bugatti, a Ferrari, and a Porsche.
Mm.
And that's over a span of like 7, 8 years. They've only produced four. And so those are the hardest. But they're
Did you
not.
do you have the four? The no.
No. So when they get expensive. So
Uh-huh.
I have two of them, and I can get the third one in the future. It hasn't retired, but once Legos retire, then
Mhm.
they just skyrocket.
Mhm.
And this is a thing they say, and this was in Forbes and the New York Times. But Legos really are a better investment than gold or
Mhm.
stocks. You will never lose money on Legos
Mhm.
ever. Even if I've sold some that made 30% profit, and then after I pay my 10% seller's fee, I kind of break even. But that was a year later. I could have held it longer, but I didn't need it, or I trying to get rid of inventory.
Mhm.
That was a net zero, right? I didn't lose anything. And
Mhm.
then if you, so even a set, if you're gambling on this and you're like, I think this will sell. If it doesn't sell, you'll at least get the money you put into it.
Mhm.
So if you start calculating like storage space, some of these guys are really into like, oh, and how much money does it cost to have that slot on the wall filled with this set? I don't give a shit about that. I'm not that serious. I don't, the storage and all that, whatever. Um, so yeah, if they break even, cool. If they make money, I've had some make more than 100%. I bought one for 200, sold it
Mhm.
for 440. 8 months later. Yeah, so I kicked myself over that because I should have bought more. And
Mm.
so the ones that are the hardest, it's roughly 4,000, 3 to 4,000 pieces. And I took one apart to rebuild it. So the website Rebrickable, they're
Mhm.
called MOCs, My Own Creations. It's an acronym, and
Mhm.
people design them on a computer. I've designed a couple smaller ones, but they design them on a computer, and you can create your own instructions and everything, and you can make it an alternate build. So this set can have an alternate of a different model car, and all they use are the pieces in this set. So I did that, but when you get Legos, I had already separated these bags. This is bag one, this is bag two. Those sets have like 40 bags, two thick manuals. They're hundreds and hundreds of steps. And altogether, the manual is probably that thick. And with the both of them, there's 6 different boxes. The box is this big. And so when you take apart, and they give you individual bags, right? So you're like, okay, bag one, and everything's right here. It's still a lot of pieces, but it's just enough for the bag, right? So it's easier to sort. When you have 4,000 pieces lined out on a table,
How do you do it? So do you have like a big table?
no, this is actually bigger than the table I have, but I used a 6 foot folding table like this for most of the time I had the channel. And man, it's a lot. And I color sort them. So I'll put like some pieces are bigger and I'll be like, all right, the big green ones, then all the rest of the green ones, and then all the black and all the blue and all. And I have all this stuff, and I almost have no room to build it. I'll be building it in my build it, and then put it back in my lap. And then as you continue, you have less and less pieces. But those are the most time consuming because I have to take every single one of those parts pieces, every single piece apart, and then organize it in colors, and then reassemble it. So it's a major undertaking.
How long did it take you to finish it?
16 hours just to build from the time I started on step one. So after I had it all sorted out, 16 hours to build. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Ask Alexa. That thing sat in the living room of the RV for a week and a half because I still had a full-time job.
Oh my,
Overtime, I was working 60 hours a week.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
So it's very time extensive. Like to pick a type of YouTube channel or anything that would like do anything for you and be quick and that's not the one. So
Yeah.
much editing and just the process of downloading that many hours of content to like get it from the hard drive to the computer takes a long time, days. Yeah.
So
And I used to do it all on this phone until 3 months ago. I did everything on this. So I would put that 250 gigs of information right in there and just have to set that phone down for the rest of the day. Yeah.
damn. So
And then, yeah.
when you buy a Lego, do you build it right away or
No, not
so?
always. So sometimes, yeah, like this one I've had, and I'll buy when they're on sale. Best time to buy is when they're on sale, and then so I'll buy them like that, and then sometimes they sit. This one sat for a while. The one like
But have you finished this and then you just took it?
I have another one actually. So I
Oh.
already have this set, and I just happened to have an extra one. I was like, I haven't used it on my podcast. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I haven't actually like used it in any content, and so I was
Mhm.
like, oh, we'll do another one. But no, this is brand new. I got the box right here. I've been doing these videos and the rustling or trying to talk. I'm opening these plastic bags, and I was like, I'm gonna try something different and have it all separated before to not like dilute, to not ruin the audio. Yeah, because when
Mm.
you're rustling plastic for while you're trying to tell a cool story, and the next thing I know, I'm in the editing booth, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm like, oh, I totally ruined that section of the story.
Mm.
So yeah, this is a little smoother. Um, so you've built Legos before. What Lego have you built?
That's it, like the yellow Jeep
Yeah,
because I have a yellow Jeep because we used to have like I we used to have like an aquarium and then we had a hamster.
you had an aquarium, huh?
Yeah, but it has a hamster inside.
Okay. Oh,
It was a
okay. So you had an
hamster
aquarium for the hamster.
for the
Oh, that's a
hamster,
good.
right?
That's a good
And
transition.
then I used that Jeep, the yellow Jeep, inside that aquarium.
I like
So
that.
so the hamster has Jeep, like
Ah,
because it matches my Jeep. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's a nice Jeep you got.
yeah.
Um, that's cool. I'm gonna have to do that. I
Yeah,
like that.
when I saw that yellow Jeep at Walmart, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. So that's a Technic. That's the same as the hardest set I built, just at a
Mhm.
bigger scale with all the pins and
Mhm.
it's a lot different.
Yep.
I tried to build some Technic sets on the show, but
Mhm.
that one you're like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, seventh hole. You know what I mean? You have to
Mhm.
count, and then we're like stuck on a page. I'm like, oh, I had to take it. I was like, okay, we're not gonna do that anymore. These are easy enough. You don't the piece fits in the shape. You don't have to worry about counting the pins, and
Mhm.
it was a lot more difficult. But yeah, I enjoy. I've been building Legos since I was 3, and through high school took a gap, did all kinds of sports. Couldn't afford them when I got older, and actually Alexa and she worked at Disney, and we got into Lego there. They have a Lego store, and we
Mhm.
bought the Yellow Submarine from the Beatles, and
Mhm.
then yeah, and that took years. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of money then, and then I got into it once I got out to Oregon. Yeah, I had a friend that owns a Lego store. So it's hard
Oh,
not to.
and did you see the one that's opening in Reading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They postponed it, but I'm ready. I'm
Yeah,
going.
you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw it. I was like, oh wow, what the heck, you know?
So, I wanted to get back to I'm so intrigued by it. I didn't know much about you. Alexa told me about, oh yeah, she's got the gym and the Reading and the this, and just over her going, I've learned a little bit about the gym, but I didn't know anything about your backstory. I'm very intrigued. So when you got here, um, did you come with family? Did you just say, fuck it, I'm going?
Yeah.
Um, what
If
is it like immigrating to another country?
Well, that part I was young, so I was
Mm-hmm.
just going with the flow. But I'm
Were you by
also
yourself?
yeah, I was
Oh
by myself.
wow,
Yeah, I
that's intimidating.
my dad took me here, but my dad's like I never saw him. Like I never saw him besides the day that he took me here.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So he brought you here and then was like,
so
"You're
basic
here now."
yeah, I'm here now, and then he wants to like, oh, go to work, pay your rent, and I was like, why would I pay rent to him when I could just go my own way, my own rules and stuff like that,
Right.
and just pay my landlord rent, not you, and then you're trying to control everything too. So it's like,
Hmm.
so I kind of like
I am
just.
all too familiar with that. I mean, I live here now, but I get it. I get
So
it.
yeah. So basically, I just kind of like figured it out. It was hard because this is really different from the Philippines. Even
Yeah.
when I
And so where did you land? Like, where did you come in? Did you come into San Francisco?
like
Okay.
right away,
And
yeah,
then you just stayed there. That was your home base since
yes,
you got here.
yes,
So when did you? What year?
that was 2005,
Okay. Yeah.
2005, and then 2006 I met my daughter's dad.
Okay.
Because like what I
So
said, I
quickly.
was yeah
Yeah.
quickly, and because I was really sad, I have no family, no
Yeah.
friends, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Isolated.
it's lonely.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I met him, and then yeah, we had a kid after a year, and then we've been together for 5 years, but it didn't work out. And then
That's a solid try though. That's a long time, five
yeah,
years.
5 years,
Huh.
and then it didn't work out, but it got me fat. the,
Oh,
the
yeah.
relationship got me really fat, and then
Yeah. That's not good.
so I started like, oh, going to the gym, and I really get bored like fast because before there's no like I didn't know about CrossFit. I didn't know about like high intensity workout. I just know like the gym.
Yeah.
You go
Lift.
there,
Yep.
walk in the
Treadmill.
treadmill, yeah. So I was like, I was never into it. It's
So
like
you hadn't done any boxing or anything yet?
that like so it kind of like I just started boxing at the year 2018.
Oh wow.
Yes, because from when I separated from my daughter's dad, I was just broken. Like I was just doing things, like I was just partying, I was just and then going home to my daughter, it's like I always just complain about life. It's like why am I always broke?
Right.
I used to smoke cigarette, I used to drink a lot. And then one day my daughter had like a career day in school. And at that time, I was doing like part-time tattoos because
Oh.
I couldn't go to work because we don't have a babysitter. No one takes
Uh,
care of her.
that's also a reason why we're here. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I got to quit my job. So I was just doing tattoos, and I'm always broke because it's not a sure thing. It's like sometimes you have people, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And then so the career day comes, and I couldn't say anything.
Right.
I don't have the self confidence to talk in front, and I don't know what to say because I'm just kind of like
Stay at
a
home
fake
mom.
a
Yeah.
fake tattoo artist that like whatever. And so I kind of like a wake up call. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's like oh
You
my
want to be
god,
able to have
yeah.
something to say.
And then my
Yeah.
daughter was just looking at me like. And I was like, oh
Right.
what? Oh no, hell no. And then the next day, I just decided to kind of like, change it up.
That was the tipping point. That
Yeah.
was the switch right there.
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
switch. I was like, and then the next day, I started calculating how much I spend buying cigarettes,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
and then
those vices add up quick.
yeah, and buying alcohol. And then I
Hmm.
start to realize like, oh, when I go out every weekend, like how much do I
Oh, and then
spend?
at bars.
Yes.
Oh,
And-
it's one thing to drink at home. That's still expensive.
yeah, it's
But when you go out, it's four
yeah,
times.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really like shy at first. Like I didn't have like the confidence that I have now coaching women and kids, but before I was really shy. So what I would do is I would put alcohol in my coffee and go to work drunk. and, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Hi, how are you?" You know, like whatever.
Loose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Social lubricant.
Yeah. And I just kind of like, you know what? This is not right because when I'm not doing it, I'm so depressed. I'm so down. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
so I kind of realized it. I was getting more aware in time, you know, and then I was just like, one day I just cold turkey, no cigarettes, no alcohol. And then I was super broke, and a family from the Philippines helped me to get a UFC gym membership for a year.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that's when my boxing journey started.
Wow, that's cool. That
Yeah.
someone saw that and was like, you know what, we'll help you out with
Yeah.
that.
And then
That's
that's
really
it.
cool.
And I put my because it was given to me, I feel like I gotta work hard to
Right.
learn this craft, you know,
Yeah.
because I don't want to like disappoint this
Yeah.
person, you know.
That
I
might have
had I
been what
had
it.
I had his name tattooed here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep,
That's
but
cool.
that's when it started. Boxing changed my life. It's
So it
like,
had to that you think that it would have gone a different way if that third party help with, that
mhm,
obligation of feeling like I have an obligation to this. They saw
mhm.
this in me. I got to be able to follow through.
Yes. And then
That's what changed.
yes. And then after a year of going, um, I developed like self-confidence, you know, like I was really good
Right.
at what like I do. And then this person again said that, you know, like he's my brother's my dad's sister, but he is a lesbian. So that's
Okay.
why. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and he's in the Philippines, but he's dead. He's gone now.
Hmm.
So basically, after a year, he's like, "Oh, you like improved. You know, like you talk well now and stuff like that. So let's do more." So
Oh wow.
what he did is he paid for my ISSA personal training course,
Oh, okay.
and I did that too. So I finished it because everything was given. I feel like I needed to like
Yeah.
pass it to
Right.
get good score. You know. Eh,
That's a very interesting perspective too, because at least in America, the type like a lot of people that are just handed stuff,
Mhm.
that's that. Oh, you were handed this, and then because of people like almost like the land, right? I didn't understand. Not that I ever took it for granted because I worked since I was 10 years old. I've been working and ranching and doing I've owned several little, just handy business, mow lawns. I've been hustling my whole life. Never took anything for granted. But a lot of people do. Like their parents work hard, right? To make sure you don't have to. That's kind of
Mhm.
the idea. And then when that is the mindset, there's something missed.
Mhm.
But with where you the opposite, which is intriguing because you saw that handout, you saw the opportunity given, not as a
Mhm.
handout, but as an opportunity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I also realize it here. Like I work with a lot of kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see different kinds of parents, different kinds of kids. Though there's like kids that's like not poor, but you know, like their parents can't afford
Right.
buying them stuff. And then I see parents that spoil their kids, like,
Right.
you know. So I see that the poor ones, when we do something like for example, we after class we go eat, like, you know, we treat them like eat and stuff, like
Yeah. Okay.
they're
That's
more,
cool.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
more appreciative, you know, like,
Right.
oh, like, you know, like they would order like not a big plate of something, it's just a simple plate, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'd be like, oh, thank you so much, you know, and then the other one would be like, do they have this, do they have that? And it's
Right.
like, oh my god.
Yeah. The kid that's like, oh, they're buying. I'm gonna get. Where's the most expensive?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
something
cool.
like that. And then they
Yeah.
still not, it's not enough. It's
Not
still
what they
not,
wanted.
yeah. It's still not like they still doesn't appreciate it. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, but
But do you see a difference in the work they put in the gym? I
that
would,
too. It's
really? So
yes.
there is so
Yeah.
it's not just the entitlement, but also the drive. There's a difference.
Yes. But there's really different types
Just
of
different
kids.
people.
Yeah, different
Yeah.
people, but mostly like the more the more money they have is the more kind of like difficult to like impress them with something, you know, or
Right.
so.
Interesting.
And then for me, I was also poor before when I was in the Philippines. So everything that's given to me, I appreciate it. And I
Right.
don't want to disappoint that person because, like you gave that to me, like you work hard for it and
Yeah.
you're giving it to me,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. But I feel like that part of my life really changed my everything, my self-confidence, my the way I see things. And I used to fight in clubs before. I'm like a war freak, like, oh, you look at my man, I'm gonna
Oh
mess
God.
you up,
Oh
like
shit.
I fight a lot, like if you bump into me, I would fight you,
Wow. And you
Yeah.
never see that now.
And
Yeah.
now when I learned boxing, I never want to fight anymore.
Isn't that crazy, right?
It
It's
is
so weird.
crazy.
And I mean, they say, like, teach a kid to box, they'll never have, you'll be able to speak better, you'll hold yourself higher. You won't, if you got a bully, teach them to box, teach them to fight.
Mhm.
That's all that type of behavior comes from a place of no confidence
Mhm.
or never having someone believe in you or being taught that there's a different way,
Yep.
right? Maybe you got abused and bullied at home and that's the only thing you've seen. So that's how you watched your father or mother exert dominance over the other or the children. And so
Mhm.
that's what you think you must do at school, or the kids at school bullied you. So you turn into the bully. But if you could just stand your ground,
Mhm.
and now granted, you don't want any conflict, but it only takes once for everybody to respect you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It changed your mindset too. It's
Yeah.
like right now, like at first I was like, oh, now that I'm boxing, if I fight, I would beat them up. I don't even want to fight anymore.
No.
It's crazy.
No.
Like I don't know how it works, but it worked.
I had to execute jujitsu in the field, like in real life. And it was scary.
Mm.
And so I had to choke this guy out twice in this, like, within an hour. I was like, fuck. And then he was still, I don't know what drugs he was on. I just showed up to this party boat, and long, but we're over here. There's two boats tied together, and I know this guy, and this is the rental boat with all these people I don't really know, and all the drugs are over there, and we're over here, and we're having our own good time with our extracurriculars. And then I don't know what they had. I don't know if it's pills, but this guy was rolling highs and lows. His lows, normal. Then he'd catch a peak, and he just wanted to get violent. And he had done, I only know this, I don't even know his name, but I know he'd gone to war, he had killed children, and he was talking about, like, he got put back in that place. And he was gonna get hurt, and his people just wanted to throw him off the front and, like, put him on the shore, which is all jagged. I don't know if you've been to Lake Shasta, but it's
Mhm.
all jagged rock. There's no beach. There's no
Mhm.
shore. It's
Mhm.
just a rock ledge that
Mhm.
leads, and where we were was not on a point in the middle, like you could get to land, but he would have never found it. He would have
Mhm.
never figured it out. And so I was like, if you guys do that, you're gonna kill him. And all these people were like, "Oh yeah, I do jiu-jitsu. I know this." And I was like, "Okay, well, dude, take care of your man." And they won it. And this guy's way bigger than me. And I was like, "Well, but he's so docile." The second time, I was just able to, like, get my hooks in and just mount him, rear naked. And he was just sitting on the ground. So I was like, "All right, he's low. Let me get him now before." And then we tried to get him to the boat. So I had to choke him out just to get him on the boat. Then we drag his body to the boat, called the cops, get him to the dock. And on the dock, he front kicks me, and I about fell on the prop. So I had one other guy there to help me hold his legs. And I had him in an arm bar so long, I bruised my own feet.
Oh,
I was like, how did this
damn.
happen?
Damn.
And it took 7 cops to take this guy down. And I was so pissed because I ripped his elbow, his shoulder, everything. And I was, please don't fight. Please don't fight me. I don't want to hurt you. And he would just, "Ugh," and you know how that goes. And you can't do that. And so I was looking at, like, getting in trouble
Mhm.
now. And
Mhm.
luckily, as much as he gave them resistance, that's what got me out of trouble. Like, we're
Mm.
gonna write this up as public indecency, or
Mhm.
yeah, drunk in public or whatever, and he'll never be able to find, like, press or nothing. I was like, thank God, because that, and then, so yeah, I was like, this is not what you want to do. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
go down this road. And that was
Yeah.
the last thing I wanted to do. But the ability to know that I saved that guy's life. Like, he probably would have died,
Mm-hmm.
died in the water. They were trying to take him over the handrails into the other boat next to engines and propellers and metal handrails and like
What the
edges and
heck?
corners. And I was like, don't. So that's when we got him on the boat. And so, yeah, no one, they didn't comprehend like the amount of danger thank God grew up on a houseboat because I understood the
Mm-hmm.
real dangers. And yeah, at all those, and I still don't know who his friends were. They never owned, like, never apologized, never even claimed him. I was like, and that's kind of one of those moments that made me realize, like, what am I doing here? What
Mm.
am I here? I could have ended up the one going to jail with him because
Mm-hmm.
of, mutual combat. And then they don't even know appreciation, no thank you. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
go like, hey, we need to leave and go to the hospital. Like, go, where did he go? The hospital or jail?
I
Like,
know.
they
Like,
didn't ask how he was or nothing.
yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Right
So,
here. And
yep. And then I'll put that one in there.
and then did you guys
I
went
still
back?
don't know what happened to him. Nope. All I know is the cops got him. He's still breathing. Thank God he's alive. But yeah, that was the only time in real life I
You
had
don't know
to.
his name.
No. Yeah. And that's the only time in real life I've actually had to practice martial arts. And, well, I wasn't practicing. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it was the armbar, all that, no big deal. But the choking him out twice within 20, 30 minutes, that was scary. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing, you know, is that right there? Like the first time I thought I had him out and he came back quick. It wasn't, it was just like you were rolling. He went out quick and
Mm-hmm.
I let go and he came back. I was like, oh, fuck. So then I had to put him down technically
So
probably three
strong.
times. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, this guy's got a big neck. I was like,
He
God
does.
damn. Yeah, he was big, dude. He was like 250 plus. I was probably 170 at the time. Yeah.
Ew.
Have you before out? What is the craziest altercation you've been involved in all your partying and bar brawls?
Oh yeah, someone like someone like bumped into me like that, and I was like, "Watch where you're going?" But I was like saying it in my language because it's a Filipino like party.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and then there was just like, okay, so it was just okay. I think this is better. This is a better story. Okay, it was a house party. I went with my best friend at that time, and her name is Sally.
Okay.
And then we went to this house party. I just came from that this time I was working at Chase, so I have my Chase uniform.
Still on?
Yeah,
Oh
still on.
god.
So we went,
Really
and
representing.
so I have a not a high heel, but like a
Like a
little,
wedge.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Dress shoes.
yeah,
So
and
you're
then
in dress shoes
yeah.
trying to pick fights.
No, so okay, so this is like the house, right? And then we
Uh-huh.
went there, so we were drinking and stuff like that. And then there was this guy that was really drunk, and then he told my best friend, oh, they were kind of like debating about something. I forgot what the topic was, but I was in the kitchen because I like eating. So I was in the kitchen, I was getting food, I was microwaving it, and I can hear them from the living room. And then they were just like debating about something. And then this guy told my best friend, "Shut up. Shut up. You don't have the right to like speak because you're a hoe." But in our language,
Whoa.
and then my
Whoa.
my ears
Dude.
got hot, and I ran like a ninja. Like I was like hopping from couch to couch, like I don't know. It was
Just
the
saw
adrenaline.
red. Just saw red.
I was like adrenaline rush, right? So this was the kitchen. So there was like a wall that divides it, but there's like two doors that you can go this way or that way, right?
Okay.
So, and then they were in the living room over here. So I went like this, boom, and then jump, jump.
Oh my god.
And then my best friend was here, and then he was here in a couch next to the window. And I jumped into him, went on top of him, and I choke him like this, grab his shirt, and I just keep on like,
Oh.
oh no, I did not do that first. I was like, hey, I grabbed him. I was like, hey, what did you say? Can you repeat that again? And then he
That's
repeats it.
never what you want.
And then
You don't want anyone asking you to. Can you? What'd you
it's
say?
what you say. And then he's
Yeah.
like, I said, this is I said, your friend that needs to like
Oh
shut
my
up because
God.
she's
That,
at
what
home.
kind of man? Where do you gain that
And then
mentality?
I don't know. And then so that's when I like freaking beat him up. So all of the people there was just like taking me off from top of him. And then this fool ran and I was so mad because he got away. So I chased him with my little hill.
Oh my God! You haven't even kicked him off yet.
I chased him. I was like, he ran so fast. And then I was like running too. And then they were
Oh,
holding me back. I was so mad. It's like, oh my god! And then I didn't catch him, but
wow.
yeah, that's like
That's
the
intense.
worst. That was the
I
worst.
see. I messed up. Your story was too good. Yeah,
That was the worst.
yeah. I'll let you do that.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, women get nuts. I
Where
tell you what,
where am
Alexa,
I?
she's a. Oh, so this is gonna be. I did these ones, and
So
then
where do I put this one?
this is. You're gonna assemble this
Oh,
little piece right here. I
okay.
messed up. I just put it on there. I was like, yeah. And then it'll go right there. Damn. Alexa, she likes to. Oh, don't forget the gray ones. She likes to do that. She likes to chase. She's a chaser. I
Yeah,
was like,
she's
why do
really
you do this?
strong.
Oh my God, stronger than she knows. I'm like,
Mhm.
look, you gotta chill.
Yeah,
When you do things, things move. Like
yeah,
the doors. She's heavy on doors. God,
yeah.
the whole wall shakes. Like she's like, what? I'm like, you're strong. So, now you're here. You settled down a little bit,
Mhm.
and then so you've got a daughter. How
Mhm.
old were you when you had your daughter?
20.
So you're 20.
I'm
First
36 now.
36.
Mhm.
Wow, look good for 36. And not that 36 is old, but you look good. I would have said about. I guess it's close. I'm getting old now. I'm gonna be 29 next month. And I'm like, okay,
How old is
36.
Alexa?
30. Yeah.
Oh,
I was
hey.
like, okay, that's actually pretty close to my age. Um, yeah. So that happens. You figure this out, and you get these. You have this Papa Joy, is it?
Papa
Yeah,
Joy.
Papa Joy in your corner, rooting you on, checking in every once in a while, pushing you further, and so you ended up away from your ex.
Mhm.
Now, where does this story join? Like, what is the gap between you meeting your new man before
Mhm.
you moved and you coming to this moment of growth?
Okay, so
Like, how did accounting come in? What is the gap?
when we moved here, I when we were planning to move here, everything was just falling in place. It's like it's ridiculously fast, and it was like ridiculous. Like why is this so easy? You know, like I found a job like right away at Sierra Central Credit Union,
Okay.
and then but because boxing is my first love, I kept on googling it, like where can I find boxing here? Where can I find boxing here? And I found a place. Have you heard about Victor's gym here in Red Bluff?
No,
Okay, so I found
I
him.
haven't lived here in 10 years, so
Mm,
I'm not that familiar.
yeah.
The buildings are the same, the names are different, if that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah. This was like when I found him, he was just like starting. Like he
Oh,
doesn't have anything, like he was just really starting.
just in a build, just had a
Like
room, had a
yeah,
building.
like he was just like he has the space, but he doesn't have anything. So it was kind of like good, like we then I started like working with him like privates, one on one, and then we built a friendship, and then he taught me like a lot about boxing that I didn't know from San Francisco, because I always like cross train. I go to like gyms everywhere so I can learn a lot of
Yeah,
things, but I have my own technique, but I want
mixed,
like mixed
mixed.
stuff,
So you're not just isolating. You're not like I just do boxing, or you're doing mixed
Yeah.
martial arts. You're
Yes.
trying to learn well-rounded.
Yeah. So, but my focus at that time is really boxing because I really love boxing. So, and then that's when I kind of like we grew together, that that gym and stuff. But in time, like this is the thing, when you love what you do, sometimes you don't realize that you're giving too much.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Like what
Yeah.
I'm saying, it's
Oh
like
yeah.
And then sometimes you get burnt out because you don't get compensated the way you're supposed to be,
Yep.
because you just love what you do and you think that you should do more and more and more and more. And then at the end of the day you find yourself burnt out because you're not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
So that's
And
what.
even if you even there's different kinds of burnout. Like I didn't mean to interrupt your story, but like when you said that, I'm thinking like, so I love what I do. I do what I
Mhm.
love. Done it since I was 15. This is
Mhm.
all I ever done. The only thing I ever paid taxes on is being an iron worker and welding.
Mhm.
And finally I got to take it to the highest levels currently, but I got burned out by loving it more than I love my body
Yes, yes,
and
yep.
injuries. Like
Mhm.
currently, I'm rehabbing a shoulder surgery. That's why I'm here. That's why
Mhm.
we're here. I've been off work for 5 months now because of that, and I pushed it till I could not lift my till I couldn't work, and I was like, ah, and I just kept pushing it out. And granted, there's finance and all this stuff, but I was like, there was a year. It's been injured for at least 2 to 3 years. Like there was time, and I could
Mhm.
have done things different. I just head down, don't give a shit. I'm pursuing this. And so
Mhm.
I put it above my own body, above my health. And that was the burnout. I got to the point where I was compensated justly,
Mhm.
but, and maybe that motivated me to push through my body.
Yes.
Maybe I came to the right time where the compensation started gaining and my body started breaking. But because of that, maybe that was the reason. But in my heart, I just love it. Absolutely. And I know when I go back, I'm going to hurt myself again. I know.
Oh
It's not even a
no.
question. It's just a matter of when. This time I made it 8 years from surgery. I've had five so far. I made it 8 years, and three of them have been due to the job. And I've, yeah, two the same surgery. So I made it 8 years, right? I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And so hopefully I can get 10, but who knows? I mean, it really is a gamble. So I'm actually in a transition, but that's for a different story. But yeah,
Yeah, like for
I get
me,
that.
but at first, like the first 2 years was really good. We built like relationship, and then my ex boyfriend was having a friendship with him too and stuff like that. But me and my ex, we didn't work out. It was a pretty bad situation. He left, like without anything, like without saying
Oh,
anything.
what?
Yeah,
No.
and then I was planning to fight that like last year, like late, like I was planning to fight 2023, and that was
Oh, wow.
2022 when he left Thanksgiving Day, right?
What?
Yes, I was planning to fight 2023, but then I had
Now
a
I want to
stroke.
fight this guy.
No, but it's okay.
Left on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he left on
So you had a
Thanksgiving.
stroke.
I had a stroke the third day. Like, okay, see, he left on Wednesday, Thursday,
At
Friday.
35, you had a stroke.
Yes, it was a mild stroke. I couldn't move like the right side of my body, and that's when I kind of deteriorate. Like I wanted to fight so bad, but then because of the stroke, my energy, my stamina is not the same. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm having chest pains all the time and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
so but then I was still working. I was still working for this gym that I was working at, and then because of the separation and because of the stroke, it was just overwhelming. And then I feel like I wasn't getting compensated as much as I was working. So it was like
Right.
all in one. And then my grandma died, like my
Oh
close
God.
grandma
Yeah.
died.
So this is all very recent within the
Yes.
last year.
Yes. So it's everything in one. So I feel like that kind of like was the reason why I fall out of the other gym that I was working at, because like I do the accounting, I clean the
So
place,
you
like
got three job titles
eh,
or more. You know what I
more,
mean?
maybe
Yeah.
more, yeah. And then
Essentially to the point where you're like, this is what an owner should do.
exactly.
Because yeah. Yep.
Exactly. So, and there's like a lot of people that's watching my work from social media, from like
And
words,
the people working, or I mean, the
like
people coming to the gym see it, and yeah.
yes. And then there's also like this thing called USA Boxing, which is like it kind of make the boxing world small. Like
Oh,
everybody knows everyone. You know
okay,
what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, so they see my work, and then one of the coaches in Reading kind of saw it, and then like he asked me if I can teach coach at his gym too, but
So it was an invite,
it was an
not
invite,
looking for an invite.
an invite,
Ah,
yes.
okay.
And then he
Kind of one of those like they saw this. Another like Papa Joy. Like they
Yeah.
saw it. I
Yes.
gotta perform.
Exactly. And
Okay.
then but my other gym, my the one that I'm working at that time won't allow me.
What?
Yeah, that was weird, right? Because for me, if you want your coach to grow, you're going to let
As long as it
them,
doesn't in
yeah, the schedule, right? So I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I'm teaching Tuesday, Thursday here. I can teach Monday, Wednesday here, whatever."
Yeah.
But it won't let me.
Whoa.
So it was kind of like,
That's weird.
yeah, that is weird. So
Dang, that is that's weird.
yeah. And then when
So what'd you do?
so what I did is like I just stayed. I just stayed and I brushed off the
I don't
invitation.
do good with that.
But
If
this is
someone puts me in that spot, I go,
yeah,
fuck
but I
you.
felt uncomfortable for a very long time,
Right.
like months, like months. And I
That's like an
started
elephant for sure.
yes. And that's when I thought about it. It's like if I want myself to really grow, I got to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
And that's
Was
what I
it
did.
contractual or
No, it was just like whatever, like
wow? He's just like if you go make more, if you go hustle and you trying to provide for your family, you can't work here.
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly, because
Just a hater.
the things that
I mean,
the things that that I hear about is that I fired her because she did I told her to do something that she didn't do, like that's the word out there,
right.
But
Of course they're gonna go slander you. Of
yes,
course.
it was
Yeah.
happening for a few months after I left, but moving forward, I worked with this person that invited me to do the coaching and stuff like that, and this man would just like because I want for example, like we sit down like this and I would like tell him like I want to learn this, I want to learn that, okay, let's do it. He's gonna bring me to like gym in Chico or gym here, gym there.
Exposure.
Yes, to like learn more and exposure and stuff like that. So with the short period of time that I was working for him, I did so much more than 2 years of the other,
Makes sense. Yeah.
and then that's when I realized that I am gonna grow here.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
gave me rice bros here in Red Bluff, like just like that. Like you want to teach.
That's awesome. He
You know?
saw it. He saw the
Yeah.
potential. He saw the talent.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Those are the people you want to be around. Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. And then now, and we just started like working together from like let's say April last year, and then now we're having an amateur fight on April 27th.
Really?
Yes.
That's cool.
USA boxing certified.
I've had some I've had some of my people fight. I've put some I know that. That's cool. It's a cool thing to
is.
watch people train in your gym
Yes.
and go fight and perform.
Yep.
And put the stuff that you not that I taught him, but I was in the class learning with him.
Yeah.
That my partner taught him. And yeah, it's cool. That's gonna be a cool experience for you.
And that's when we realized that like we're growing too, like with that short period of time, an hour a day in Reading, like and it's only 7 p.m.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine
And
if we
it's
have
twice a week in Reading or once.
so
I know
okay.
it's once here.
So for teens and adults, it's Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m.
Okay.
Okay. And then women's in Reading is only Fridays at 6:30. And then women's here is Wednesdays every 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So over there, I teach Mondays the
So you
teens
got a
and
full
adults.
schedule.
Yes.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that if you think about it, we're only operating 7 p.m. every day.
Yeah.
You know?
You're only looking at 7 hours. If it's 7 day or 6 or 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
A
And then,
week.
yes.
Yeah.
And then our women's class is only twice a week and it's separate, like it's in
Yeah.
Red Bluff and Reading. So basically, it's just once a week there, once a week here. And our
And
youth
is that because of the
space.
because of the location?
Yes,
Yeah.
because they're using it from this time, like
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu people and stuff like that, right?
And that's Rice Bros is strictly jiu-jitsu, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we're operating in
Well, yeah. Yep,
So what we're thinking about is to separate ourselves from them, so we can have our own space and coach 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
and we can coach anytime we want.
Yeah.
We can have privates anytime we want, because the more time and days we spend with our student, the more they would excel.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
And you need that space. You need the ability to build you have to build a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And once a week is not
Yeah.
a foundation here, right? And then an hour a day is not
Yes.
you're cutting out so many people.
Yes,
right? So many
exactly.
people. Yep.
Exactly. And then we would go to like gyms in Sacramento and Oregon, and we will see these kids that fights that they train every day for 3 hours,
Yeah.
and then that's why they're
Or
so
they come
like
in the morning, hit
yes.
a jiu-jitsu in the morning, intermediate jiu-jitsu, and then they're hitting Muay Thai or
Mhm.
kickboxing. You got a variety to where they can become well-rounded in your
Mhm.
facility.
So that's what I was like we were like thinking about like to to mold good fighters, we need
Yeah.
more time.
Yeah.
So
100%.
that's where we at right now. We're looking for buildings, we're looking, like and because we really want like we would also like do like scholarship if your kid has talent because we're gonna do like tryouts and stuff.
Oh wow.
So if
Okay.
your kid is a
So this is
natural
gonna
like
be like a team. You're trying to
yes.
build a team.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're doing like because right now it's just me and him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that like we have volunteers here and there, but like we want someone that could volunteer, that could put their time like consistently. Like
Yeah.
you,
Dedicated.
yeah, dedicated exactly. And then it's hard.
Mm.
Like nowadays, it's really hard, but. We're working on that too, like oh if you volunteer you get free training, and you can have your own privates and you can get 100% of that profit.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to get your money, but we cannot pay you as of right now, just like what you told me
Right.
earlier. It's like hard
But
because we're
if you have the
starting.
passion, you're looking
Yeah.
for that person.
Yeah.
Yep. The person that's doing it for the dream. Yep.
Yes,
That
they're
sees a
gonna
vision.
yes they're gonna be good at it, and then eventually it's gonna pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I almost touched on this earlier, but it's the same concept with this. Like, and I learned this through my success in my career. But it took. Oh yeah, you can go ahead. Those will go right there, and it's this page right here.
Oh.
So. Oh, I was talking. What was I saying? Oh, how long it takes? No, how long it takes to become successful. Uh, an overnight success, they always say it's 20 years, but I'm going to say anything. Like if you look at people on YouTube, go before 2020 because 2020 was an accelerator. That's
Mhm.
an anomaly, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's on YouTube 24/7 a day, or maybe not, but they found it because they had already went through all the Netflix, all the content they could absorb, and they're
Mhm.
still stuck at home. So now they're hitting YouTube, and these channels just blew up in 2 years.
Mhm.
And I was still out there working, so I missed that. I
Mhm.
came when everyone went back to work. Then I was like, hey, let's try this. But before that, if you look at like, let's just say podcast or anything, I've
Mhm.
followed people that were organic and I watched them grow from 5,000 subs all the way to 1 million, 2 million. Now this guy I follow, he's got 4 million. And that was in
Mhm.
a matter of 6 years now, I think, 6 or 7. And so I'm thinking the whole time I'm going, I don't care what I see now. As long as I keep doing it consistently. I haven't been as consistent because my job has taken me out of state and whatnot. But
Mhm.
consistent, 10 years. If I'm at 10 years and I'm still not doing it, all right, I'll pack it up. But
Mhm.
at 10 years, if I can give myself 10 years to become successful, something will happen. I'll start making revenue somehow. And
Mhm.
that's all I'm looking for. I just want to be able to pay for my own
Mhm.
Legos. Trying to feed my addiction here, all right? And so
Yeah.
that's kind of my mindset when I started this, was knowing it's going to fail and just continuing to claw at it for 10 years. And if
Mhm.
at 10 years it's still failing, then I'll give up. Then I'll say I tried everything I could. I put in the time. This wasn't for me. But that's the
Mhm.
same thing you have to do with any dream, right? That my dream was the welding and the this, and to build these magnificent structures and buildings and do things that people from around the world will come to see and enjoy, and just
Mhm.
bring joy to people around the world. And I did that tenfold, and so that allows me, when I start to have that doubt, I go, no, it's been done before by myself. Like I've done it before. I can do this again. And
Mhm.
that, yeah, it'll be there. You'll have it. It'll happen.
If you love something, so it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. And
Yep.
then it's also like you are what you work for. So if
That's right.
if you work hard and you just don't quit, it's gonna
Yeah.
come.
This in like, I
I'm
mean,
missing one.
okay. It'll be in here.
It's not here.
That's the
Oh, it's right here.
yeah, hiding. You know, these are actual Lego trays, trademarked
Oh,
Lego trays. They did a collab with Target, and they have sets of 3. I got them, found them. They were retired. I had to get them on eBay.
damn.
But like, you're experiencing that now with Tim
Mhm.
and this gym, and he's recognizing the work put in, and he saw the talent, and now it's coming to fruition, and you're at the point where you're how many years into practicing?
Since
That long time.
2018.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's 6 years now,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And or coming into the 6th year. So yeah, you're halfway there, and you're seeing about halfway. You start to see that
Yeah.
the incremental. It's not incremental now; it's becoming leaps, right?
Yeah.
And now you're at a point where you made a leap, and now you see there's a different ceiling. Ceiling
Exactly.
changed.
But it's a risk too. It's
Oh,
scary.
big
It's
time.
scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
Every time I get in my car to drive across the country, I've driven hundreds of thousands of miles. Hundreds.
Mhm.
I've gone coast to coast. I lost track. Probably 5 or 6 times. And I've gone north to south and east to west several times. And I've driven through the majority of the country, at least 30 plus states.
What do
And
you drive? A
right
truck?
now I got a Toyota. I've driven, every time I drove across the country, I had a different car.
Oh.
So I've had, Florida, I lost 3 vehicles because of accidents. And so that sucked. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, 3. And then coming out here, I still had one of the broken vehicles. So then I got a truck. But then I put too much. I had to cut ties with this truck. I'd never had a Dodge. We're a Mopar family, and that's the parent company of Dodge and Chrysler. Not anymore,
Mhm.
but it used to be. And
Yeah,
never let us
Mopar, no
down.
car.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, you know it. Yeah. And so it never had been the case.
Mhm.
And this truck let me down, left me. I towed it 3 times. I've never towed a vehicle ever for mechanical failure, and towed it 3 times. And one time I was working on a border of Washington and Oregon, and I'm 60 miles away from the nearest uh, gas station. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And so I probably at this point am 40 miles and my truck dies. And I have to park it on the side of the road, but there's a jurisdiction issue, right? So I have AAA, but they won't pick it up because it's in Washington, and the nearest city in Washington is another 45 miles away, and then down this road, and then in Oregon. So, and they're like, we can't get you an Oregon tow truck to go to Washington. And so I didn't, and then it was during COVID, so like, you can't drive out there. I'm like, well, I don't even know how to get there. Like, I don't have, you can't get an Uber to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And so, long story short, I got it figured out. I got it. And yeah, at that point, I started going to dealers, and I was looking for a car, a truck, because
Mhm.
I have a fifth wheel already. So then I started driving trucks again. And then we got together, Alexa and I, and she drove her car into the ground, ate through both sides of the brake rotor.
Mhm.
The brake rotor was like a knife's edge. I'd never seen anything like it. And she was like, "Oh, it's a car." I was like, "No, there was a lot of screeching and squealing. You should have replaced that a long time ago." So we just cut ties with that, and I traded my truck in for 2 Volvos. I love Volvos. They're
Mhm.
my they're the best car. The engineering is superb. It was my first car, and it'll be the
Mhm.
only car that I will. I mean, I have a Toyota now, also great, but I'm a Volvo guy to the
A
core.
Volvo.
And so got 2, and then now I had to prepare for surgery and stuff, and we had to start downsizing, and then we got these cars we have paid off, and I like my little Toyota actually. It's small. I'm too big for it. Like, I have the seat all the way back, and my knees are still hunched up a little bit. And when we put the car seat in it, I
Mhm.
can't sit in the passenger seat. My knees are to my chest. So it's
Oh.
not really a practical car
Uh-huh.
for me and a baby, but it gets by, and the mileage is incredible. It's getting
Yeah.
over 30, and so for what it is, I it's definitely served its purpose. But yeah, I've driven any kind of multiple vehicles across the country.
That's crazy.
I like being on the road. We used to rodeo growing up,
Mhm.
and so and then we, like I said, we weren't like well off, wealthy, but we had enough money to go do road trips, and we
Mm.
had enough family in Nevada and Arizona, and it was we could just drive, and we had a even our trailer. We had a 1970 something Prowler, uh, just bumper pull trailer, and the door like my dad had to reframe it, and my mom had to reupholster the seats and stuff, and
Mhm.
it was this tiny little just janky trailer, but it worked, and because of it, we got to go travel and camp, and so it was one of the best things, best experiences. But yeah, it was something. And so we did a lot of road trips. And so then I just kind of wanted to find a job where I could travel. And, um, I was here in '08. You got here in '05.
Mhm.
Um, but you didn't have your family to see the downfall of '08.
Mm.
'08 and everybody around here and everybody at the time was buying these giant, beautiful houses, building them, construction companies everywhere. Everyone's just raking it in, partying, having a good time. Money's like nothing to these. My dad's a mechanic, so it wasn't affecting us. But
Mhm.
and I saw all this stuff just go away. Vacant houses, this and that happened, and companies going under, and friends getting divorced because of the houses, and
Mhm.
no jobs, and creating problems at home. And so I saw all that. And I wasn't very old at '08. I was 13. And
Mhm.
so I was like, and so 14, high school, 15, you're thinking about what you're going to do. And so I
Mhm.
was like, I need to find something like my dad where it's a commodity, like you have to have it. It's what do they
Mhm.
call that? What did they call it in COVID? Um,
Essential.
yeah,
Mhm.
you gotta be an
Yeah.
essential worker,
Yeah.
and which I did. I had an insulated career because during COVID, I never stopped working either, and
Mhm.
I made the most money of my life during that period.
Mhm.
Because so many guys were out of work, you could demand your wages, and
Mhm.
because they were getting as much money as you would get working 50 hours a week at standard salary to sit on the
Mhm.
couch. But the thing is, we're not putting any in the back end because I'm in a union. So we're getting a pension, health insurance, annuity, vacation pay. And so they weren't doing any of that. They were just looking at their checks. So they lost 2 years of all that pension and all that other credit.
Mhm.
And they really screwed our companies. We have a contractual obligation. If you don't meet your manpower needs, they have a right to go hire non-union employees because
Mhm.
you can't fill your obligation. And
Mhm.
so that put us in a bind, and they just pretty much had to pay like a premium to get people to go to work. So it was good for me.
Mhm.
And I still would rather have not had to be in that position because I just wish people would. I don't know. There's like if you can't, like in the union, directly where your money comes from. We're in a joint agreement with like the guy, your facilitator, right? The person
Mhm.
with the building and the person that owns the business,
Mhm.
right? So you have this relationship with him, and you can't hurt that. Like you have to curate that relationship because you guys work together.
Mhm.
And so that's how we sign contracts with these companies, and
Mhm.
we have an obligation. And I'm like, okay, one thing if you work for McDonald's and they're $1 billion company, and who cares, right? You're not getting paid well. We get paid well. We have an obligation. It's no different. Just because your name's not on the contract for the business doesn't mean you're not partially in a sense like an owner, right?
Mhm.
Because if you fail or if they fail, you fail. Because when you come back to renegotiate and you didn't honor your side, they're gonna screw you. Like you can go to a contract negotiation and lose money.
Yeah.
Like ever since I've been in, we get raises every time we contract, every new contract, a raise, a raise. Every year every 6 months we get a raise,
Mhm.
and every 3 years they resign and we get big raise, and it's allotted through 3 months or 3 years,
Mhm.
doled out.
Mhm.
But if we really screwed them or we didn't do well, and or they didn't do well because we didn't fill the contracts, then they're
Mhm.
going to come to us, or we abuse their equipment. That's happened too. And they're going to be like, hey, look at all this stuff that you guys did to disrespect the
Mhm.
company, right? And in a sense, disrespecting our contract and ourselves. And I couldn't understand Like, how can you not be accountable for something that you're directly connected to the source of your income? You see the owners of the companies on the jobs. They come and do, and not just you see, oh, there's the owner. No, they come and talk to us.
Yeah.
I shake their hand. Like, how can you not? Like, it's
Mhm.
one thing if the owner of McDonald's was coming down and shaking your hand, you might feel a little more obligated to do something for him, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't understand. And they didn't give a shit. And so it really just spoke, kind of lost a little bit of hope in humanity, I guess, in a sense. Like, it changed the way I saw people. Because if these people don't believe in it and will, like, I mean, you just saw what would happen in a socialist society where if the
Mhm.
government feeds you, even when you're making a lot of money and you're directly connected to the source of your income, people
Mhm.
don't feel obligated. They don't feel like they need to hold up their end of the bargain. They're just willing to take that free money and be lazy. And I couldn't believe it. And we hold ourselves as iron workers in a high regard as one of the hardest working people in all of trades. We have the most dangerous job. It's like that's something we pride ourselves in. And I just saw that fate like disappear overnight. And it was, I couldn't
Yep.
believe it. And yeah, so now, and I know those people by name that didn't, like I know some of them by name. And it's like, wow, okay, that's the kind of character you have.
Yep.
So yeah, it's disheartening.
Yep.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah, like what I said, like as much as like people say like, oh, there's a lot of good people, there's also a lot of bad
Yeah.
people.
And I think a good person thinks like maybe these people didn't think that would ever happen because they
Mhm.
never knew an opportunity like that would arise. Right.
Mhm.
So maybe you don't understand that you would be like, you haven't had not, maybe they never got tested in that sense. You know what I mean? They weren't
Yeah.
ever, their character was never tested to the point where they had to make that decision.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
I don't want to take free money. Oh, well,
Mhm.
our taxes paid. Well, not the extra, okay? You
Mhm.
pay into your unemployment, but you're not getting the extra. That's all. Now we're paying for it. The
Mhm.
inflation, the
Yes.
the
Exactly.
mortgage rates, we're paying for it now. And I'm like, how are you so short-sighted that you can't look and
Mhm.
to the next year and see that this is not it's never worked that way.
Mhm.
The banks got the bailouts, we paid the price for years. The same
Mhm.
thing's going to happen now. Who knows how long it'll take.
Yep.
But yeah, so that really was discouraging. I don't know where I was going with that. Just a little bit of a rant.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, it sucks.
Yep. That's why it's everything's so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's really so expensive now. It's like, ugh.
And that should have been the moment where people were like, okay, this is the difference between
What is
America and these socialist societies.
what is
Oh,
this?
so these are stickers. Because I already own this, I don't want to put the stickers on this one because I have other plans. I'm going to build something else out of it
Oh,
after
so
we
I just go
assemble it.
like this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, their sticker book is in the back. I just tucked it away. Yeah.
Oh.
Because when you rebuild them with something else, you have to be conscious of where you place certain stickers. Because say there was like two of those,
Mhm.
and it's supposed to be like these pieces where there's one on each side, but this one has a Countach sticker and this one's blank on the next build. So I'm just gonna leave them off.
Mm. So is this right?
Yeah, just like that. Yep,
Damn. Okay, okay, okay.
coming together. Yeah.
Hey. Damn.
So, what have you been? What kind of progress have you been making when it comes to? Where are you in your journey of finding that next place?
Well, we just started doing it, but the thing is that it was weird because like we started like a week ago, right? And then everyone was coming to our class. It's like we had like our biggest class last Monday, which is like almost 30 people.
Whoa,
So
that's almost too big.
yes, so I was like, oh my God, like it seems like the universe is trying to push us like hurry up, do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like we can't
Because
even
if you
fit in
don't,
this gym.
yeah, at that point, like without the growth in the near future, you can get to a point where people will you're not getting enough attention because there's too many people in the class.
Mhm.
So then they're gonna drop, right? And they're
Mhm.
gonna be, and then it could even go to the point, not that it would, but worst case, you could get to the point where they don't. That was their first experience, and then because of where we live, they don't have a lot of opportunities, and they never pursue it because
Mhm.
they didn't have enough. Which is not, what do? You
Yeah.
want the growth, but the growth comes. That's interesting.
Yep.
That's a
So
position. That's an interesting position for
yeah,
sure.
that's why we're like trying to like. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities in Reading.
Hmm.
I feel like because it's also closer to Oregon. There's like one that's really big in Oregon. It's called Spartan Boxing.
Oh,
Yeah, he helps us a lot too. Like
is that
he
in Medford?
yes in
Okay.
Medford. So he like he brainstormed with us and stuff. He's very helpful. We're buying the ring from him.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so we're actually gonna have a boxing ring. So
That's cool.
yep, we
Yeah.
already have bags. We have like 10 bags, and
Wow.
we're ready. We're ready.
So you're stocked. You just need the facility.
Yes, like a
Interesting.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yep.
And so that's a long journey.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And so when you started, like, did you always know you wanted to pursue this, or was it because of that? Like, I know that he invested in you doing this, but what made you say, I want a UFC membership?
Oh, um, like what I said, like my main motive is just to be good at fighting because I like fighting.
So that was it. So you were just trying to take yourself
Yeah,
off the street and
yeah.
into the.
I
Okay.
I wanted to I want to lose weight because I was really
I
fat.
remember. Yeah, you
Yeah,
mentioned that.
I was fat, and then I just want to put my mind somewhere else.
Yeah, and so you said you were bored with the regular, just the monotony of a regular
Yeah,
gym,
yeah.
and you had this motivation from being fat
Yes,
and
yes.
trying to get
Oh,
back.
oh. And I had dated a guy that was into boxing,
Okay.
and then he was teaching me, and I couldn't get it.
Oh,
And he told me that, oh, you're so like you're not gonna ever learn this because you're just so slow, like. But when I first got in here, in United States, I never speak English. I understand, but I don't speak.
incredible.
So
Really?
so in my mind I can learn everything, like I have
Yeah.
that idea, but sometimes I get like unmotivated, because that time I was fat,
Right.
I don't have the stamina and stuff, but in my mind I know that I can learn. So
That's crazy. Oh man.
he
Goes
told
back
me
to
that
the.
he told me like you don't have the mobility, you can't move because you're too fat and stuff
Well,
like
yeah.
that.
How do you think I'm gonna get there?
Yeah,
I
and
gotta
then
keep showing up.
but in my mind, why are you even with me? you
Yeah.
know
Right. If you're gonna say that to me and we're together, yeah.
and then that's it. So when that happened, I was like, you know what? Whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then that's
Man,
when
the things people have the nerve to say out loud.
I
I'm
can never
baffled.
understand it. I can never understand it.
Yeah.
But
And you're
yeah.
like, you think I don't know that? Like, that's why I'm here to get there.
Yep. Yep. And then that's
Wow.
like sometimes it's like the really painful situation in your life will make you motivated.
I'm confused on where this piece goes.
It goes here, I think. Like right here.
Yeah, how?
Hmm?
What do we miss? What's it stick to?
What the heck?
I think it goes. Ah.
This way?
Yeah, there we go. I think that's it. Then you lay it down, and yeah,
Oh.
yep. It
Like
doesn't.
this?
Yeah, because that gives it the contour. There we
Oh.
go. Okay. Yeah, I was confused for a second. It's not very visible because you see that piece looks like it's interesting. Okay,
So it
that was
does go down
confusing.
like that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. That was confusing.
But
They're
we're
just building it up. They're doing it like
oh.
this. They're doing it to where you build them together, and then you lay them
Oh.
down. That
I
was
see.
confusing because
I
you
see.
can't really see even this one. Like, where does it go? You don't see it.
So where do you see yourself after 5 years, let's say?
Hmm, interesting. I was just talking to Alexa about this. So I mentioned this earlier. I'm transitioning. So my apprenticeship is accredited through the junior college in the region. So
Mhm.
it's the next town over in Gresham, and the hall's in Portland. This is in Gresham. So it's accredited. So I actually have 60 units of college credits, straight A college credits for this program, and you only need 90 to get your associates. So I'm going to pursue my, and then I already did my placement test. That's no problem. Those are out of the way. I just have to do the 30 credits to get that. So and then the way this school is, it's quarterly. So
Mhm.
in 1 year, I could finish the whole program and have an associates by the end of next year.
Mm.
And, or I mean, probably by the spring of next year, I could have the associates, and then continue on and get a construction management degree. So essentially, there's a way to do that through the union, and lots
Mhm.
of training classes, which they only do once a year, and you might have to travel to it, and it would take you years to get the amount of skills you need.
Mhm.
And this is just going to make sure it's a focused intent, and it's not going to be, it'll be more, it'll learn all the skills at once. That's
Mm.
what I want to make sure I do. Not, oh, you learned how to use Microsoft Excel this, and then in 6 months you're going to learn how to use that, and then you're going to go learn how to do estimating and bidding jobs next year when that program comes through your town. And so that they set it up that way, the union did, to for people like me that want to pursue further, and that way you'll have a union man running the
Mhm.
job, picking the
Mm.
contractors. When they go to bid, I'll work for the general contractor, and I'll get to choose what companies we hire. That's my goal, to get in the office, sit at a desk, go out in the field when the weather's nice and not in the rain. Because I got to weld in the rain, and it
Mhm.
sucks. You're getting shocked, everything. It's terrible just getting rained on. It's really, you're
Mhm.
not weld. Molten metal doesn't go well with water.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that's the plan. Because I know, like I said, I'm going to get hurt again. So I just need to get out of, it's a slow transition. It'll take me about 3 years. And then I don't really know after that. Alexa really wants to go back to Florida. Since I was a child, I dreamed of building, everything was predestined. I knew
Mhm.
at 10 I was going to get married and have 2 kids. I knew that. It wasn't like that's a dream. I knew it.
You
As
want it.
sure as I was like,
Mhm.
this will happen. It was just something that, I don't know, it came to me and I knew this was a fact. And then when I pursued welding at 15, yeah, it'll be these ones now. We'll dump that in there. When I pursued welding, I saw it. I went to this thing. So I had an ag mechanics class, which is
Mhm.
just woodworking. I did the entire year of school in the first semester.
Mhm.
So I did every project. I started doing projects on the side for the teacher. And so then he was like, okay, well, you're not supposed to do this till next year, but do you want to go start doing the welding program? Because you already finished the whole
Mhm.
school year. So let's do that. And because of that, they took me to this thing called Arc Exposure at Butte College.
Mhm.
And they got people from all the leading companies, Miller Electric, Lincoln Electric, Hobart, all these welding companies
Mhm.
that create welding machines, not like actual construction companies, but the manufacturers,
Mhm.
and got us exposed to all kinds of things I'd never seen in my life. And in that moment, I knew, oh, I've barely ever won two raffles ever. I won my first raffle, and I got a $300 welding hood, and that was it. That was one of those moments where it was like, okay, this everything's falling in place. And
Mhm.
then I grew up on a ranch, so there was always something broken, and we raised rodeo bulls, so they're destructive. My
Mhm.
grandpa's like, you got a hood, you know how to weld? Ah, let's go to work. And so
Yep.
I got put right to work, and then I overachieved in that, finished that whole program in a year, and then the next couple of years I just did side jobs at the school for myself and for others.
Mhm.
And I just knew that was what I was going to do. So the same way I knew I was having kids, I pursued this career. And like I told you when I got back with Alexa, I told her I did everything I told you I was going to do and more. And
Mhm.
that's just the way it's happened. So I don't really know. There's only two things left on the list is
Uh-huh.
to get a house. And at that age, somewhere in high school, I knew I wanted a container home. I want to build my own house out of storage containers. And those are really beautiful modern architecture, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff. And I wanted it on a hillside in Oregon. Yep, northern Oregon.
So you have everything planned out.
Yeah, for decades now. So
Ew.
I that's my dream, but I also have a wife now, and you know, I have to, she's on board, but I have to make sure, we actually at least like, okay, you do want to move back to Florida, but let's just feel this out. So it's not a big option, but it is an option. And I have my father and my brother and sister out there. So I'm always a little leaning that way. But if you were to
Mhm.
just ask me without regard to anybody, I'm going to stay in Oregon. I'm going to build this house. I've looked at land. And then in the next 3 years, that's where I'll be. And then in 5 years, I'll be running companies. That's the plan. 3 years
Mhm.
to get the degree, a year to be a junior, and then boom.
So how are you going to match that to whatever she wants since you guys are?
So there's been decisions that I've allowed, like things have, we've done things, and she doesn't, I don't know. I don't know if you're religious or anything, but I'm a
Mhm.
Christian and she's a Christian. We're Christians. And there's a hierarchy to the marriage, to the house, and it goes God, husband, wife, child. And
Mhm.
it's been very much visibly apparent that she can't make household decisions. And it's not anything her, it's just the way it's structured. Like when I will allow her or let her pursue these, like, okay, let's do what you think is best instead.
Mhm.
It's not best. And it's taken us back. It's not where we should have been. And that's
Mhm.
always Monday morning quarterback, like, oh, we should have done this. So now we're at a point where she's like, you know what? I've learned these lessons. I'm not going to fight you so much on this. I'm just going to let you lead the family. And so
Mm.
with that, I have to be more considerate, right?
Mhm.
Instead of, because now I have that responsibility 100% surrendered to where I'm like, okay, so
Mhm.
now she's going to go with it. So I need to make sure I take extra time and extra thought and let her know that I'm truly listening and hearing what she wants and actually like weigh the pros and cons and just do it in a way that's methodical. And
Mhm.
so I would bet money we stay on the West Coast, stay in Oregon,
Mhm.
and but you never really know. So
Mm.
I will let that. Yeah, that's the only thing in the air. But definitely going to be running companies. That's no doubt, and I can do that same just like with the other job. I can do that anywhere. And I don't want to be too far away from building high rises and all this cool, heavy structural steel.
Mhm.
Um, And then I'll still be a book carrying union member. If there's any like
Yes.
incredible jobs that pop up, like
Mhm.
I've been able to, I got to work for NASA. I've worked for SpaceX. I've helped send rockets to space.
Mhm.
The rocket they're gonna use to send people to the moon, I got to work on that.
Damn.
I got to work on the one that sent people back to space for the first time on U.S. soil in 50 years.
Mm.
The Oregon Ducks. I helped rebuild that stadium.
Mhm.
I've got to do a lot of these things. Like I just wanted to do one thing that people traveled to see. I
Mhm.
did that at 19, so I didn't know where to go from there. And that's
Mhm.
kind of where I ended up in that gym, and I kind of just spiraled. Like I achieved my life's goal. What do I do
Mhm.
now? And then they call those like legacy jobs. Like every ironworker's dream is to build a stadium, a skyscraper, a bridge, and that's pretty much it. And then all that like NASA and Disney and all that stuff, you don't even really think about needing to do that. But I got to help build the Star Wars theme park. So I don't really have any like career goals anymore. I've
Mhm.
already reached the peak, I guess. And it's just, so now it's more personal growth, see where I can go.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of where we're at. I got you. I was looking at it the whole time. Yeah, so I don't know. 5 years, another kid, for sure. We have one. She's you've met her, right?
Mhm.
Yep, lots, several times. She's a character. getting wilder every day. And
I
so
know.
I would like to have I have some cows here,
Mhm.
but I'd like to have my own, like 50 acres in the woods, and have some cows in Oregon, and then maybe run them here and just build my herd and do that as a side thing while
Mhm.
I go to work. And yeah, I don't know. I would like to get to the point where Alexa doesn't have to work.
Mm.
And that's another reason besides my physical, make sure I can continue doing this, like living without getting injured again.
Mhm.
Um, but also I want to make sure she can be at home. My mother was home. I always had a stay at home mom. She's sick, so that was also why.
Mhm.
But it was a type of life that everybody should be able to experience. And it's very unfortunate that people can't. I
Mhm.
had someone at every sports game. My mother
Mhm.
was there, always there. Everything we did, my mom was there. You know, if
Mhm.
like me and Alexa will have to work, we would go to the houseboat. My dad would be home working, so we could go to the houseboat while we're up there. So if I didn't have my mom to take us, they both had to work, we wouldn't get that opportunity. We would have never had the ability to buy a houseboat because when would we use it? So we'd have
Mhm.
just been that family that rents one every week. I mean, every summer for a week or two. And that would be
Mhm.
all, right? And I don't want to be the family that, oh, we have our summer vacation.
Mhm.
I want to be able to spend every weekend as a vacation. I want them to be able to experience life every week.
That's
And my
good.
dad worked 410s. So if he didn't have a side job, he was available. And so, um, yeah, I had a lot of, I want to be there. That's really important. And I didn't have my biological dad. So
Mhm.
I think, I mean, that's the only thing that's important in life. I don't know. I briefly mentioned your father, but I don't know what that felt like if he was there a lot when you were younger or if
Mhm.
your parents were together. But even at 17, to be like, I guess I'm going to have to do this on my own, that's a big
Mhm.
jump. And as a man, you need to have your father. Anybody needs their father, but especially as a man, um, you don't see yourself in anybody, right? I
Mhm.
can't look at my mom and see how I'm supposed to be. I don't know
Mhm.
who I'm supposed to be. I don't have a man. I don't have an image to follow. So then you
Mhm.
end up a lot lost, and you end up giving that role to people that don't really deserve it, or learning from people that you shouldn't.
Mhm.
You know, and giving
Yeah.
that attention and diverting it, and it causes conflict in the house, like with my mother. And hey, you can't, this is not who you need to hang out with. That
Yeah.
man is not right. But you don't see that because you're a kid, you're naive, and you
Mhm.
just see whatever qualities that you're looking for. That's you end up subconsciously choosing to only see those qualities.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so that is my number one goal in life. I actually just went through a intensive I don't know if I've mentioned this. This is kind of personal, but I am uh, another reason we didn't make it was I'm bipolar. I was diagnosed at 2017,
Mhm.
and so I was just going through that as we were in the middle of our relationship.
What was that? What was the symptoms? Like, how did you know? Like.
Well, the erratic, wild, reckless lack of care for my own life. Not
Mhm.
like I didn't ever have like extreme suicidal or depressive episodes. I was very manic. I just pretty much been manic my whole adult life. And
Mhm.
just when you're on that high, anything less feels like you're not alive. But eventually you're going to realize like, oh, that was a high. That's no different than doing coke or any kind of like any kind of it's no different than doing any kind of upper, like anything that's going to trigger your dopamine. It's no different than living like people. It's yeah, it's a high. It's a big high and you feel
Mhm.
invincible. And so when you come down from that, and it's exciting, it's intoxicating to others. That is a big thing that drew Alexa to me.
Mhm.
And you're the life of the party. Everyone wants to hang around, but you have no regard for your own actions. Like I said, I had no license, insurance, registration, and I drove 3,000 miles across the country and
Yeah.
didn't give a shit. And I was just
Mhm.
like, this is going to work. And wasn't paying bills, totally put my life in the tank.
Mhm.
And I didn't have a relationship with my mother very well, and it's yeah, that's an ongoing process. But so I went through that, and now as a father, right, I want to correct. I believe in generational curses, and that stuff that's done unto you, you can't pass down because they're gonna continue that. So
Like break the cycle.
yeah, and I mean you're a cycle breaker. You
Mhm.
came to America. You broke
Mhm.
the biggest cycle, right? And I can't imagine how many people were like, "That's scary. Are you gonna make it?" You know, there's probably
Mhm.
people in your ear saying like, "This might not be a good idea. You should think it through."
Yeah.
And I never listened to those people. I just that's and part of it is a manic delusion, maybe just
Mhm.
believing like what consequences, right? Just
Mhm.
jump in. Who cares? And so once I got back, and the people it affects the most are the people you're closest to, and
Mhm.
I didn't have a mirror to reflect that in a sense. Alexa was the mirror, and she was then, and then I was alone again, and so I just kind of was doing my own thing, and knew that I would never find anyone like her. So I wasn't even letting people really get that attached to me, and
Mhm.
also knowing I'm moving as soon as the job's over. So sometimes I might have someone that stuck around for 6 months because I ended up there for 6 months, but the
Mhm.
whole time was like, don't get attached because I'm leaving. And so I had a real disassociation with um, people, like intimate partners in life and stuff. And so once she came back, I just realized I was totally off the leash. Like I was just wild, and didn't I was drinking and driving and just fucking getting partying, going to work, doing cocaine out of my hard hat when huddled in the corner so it doesn't blow away, like just getting fucking crazy. And going to work doing mushrooms in the field trying to thread a bolt and the fucking threads are moving. And yeah, drinking. I had a guy, and you meet a lot of degenerates in my line of work, and
Mhm.
so when you meet a lot of degenerates, it's
Mhm.
really appealing to someone that's crazy, and
Mhm.
so definitely like fed me in a sense. Like those people just got around the wrong people, and when you don't really give a fuck about life, or I didn't think I'd live past 25. That
No
was
way.
real. Yeah, and not because I thought I was going to kill myself, just because I didn't give a shit about my life. I didn't care to live past that. I just wanted to live wild. And yeah, I really didn't. And that's crazy to say, but now I can't imagine not being like everything that I've done with my family and having a felicity around. And man, thank God I'm still here. And yeah, so that happened. I ended up getting medicated. And over the past 20, yeah, so past 3 years, um slowly transition, changing meds, getting things right, also having to do a lot of mental growth. And
Mhm.
I've always been very insightful about that since a young age, just trying to learn. Like I said, I was lost, so I didn't have anyone to learn from, so I had to learn from myself. And I put a lot of heart and soul into music and learning
Mhm.
from lyrics. I'm big into music and the message, and I pretty much music raised me in a sense.
Mhm.
And so I just I got down this path, and now being hurt, being here, burnt out, broke down, um, causing havoc again over the last, like, being away is very triggering
Mhm.
because I'd never done that with a daughter, and
Mhm.
in her first year of life is very, it's a big deal, and I missed a lot of that, and so that changed. Oh, I think we're in a. Let me help you out real quick. He's gonna be turned around. There you go. They were just backwards, these two.
Oh, okay.
And then, so I did this program called IOP, Intensive Outpatient Program. So a lot of people that end up there had either came from like a rehab for drug or alcohol abuse, and they have a program specifically for that kind of recovery,
Mhm.
or people that have mental health issues and spiraled, and a lot of people were there for depression and like suicide, and some of them even came straight from the hospital to this program.
Mhm.
But and some of them had been getting suggested to go this for years by their psychiatrists and therapists and whatnot.
Mhm.
I just eagerly jumped on it. I was like, oh, there's an additional. I just got came to this place for med management And they were like, we have this program. Because I was telling them how I'm like, I need, like, I don't, the people I've found, that one's got to be switchback. Sorry. Um,
I keep for-
the mental health in this country. I've been to psychiatrists in one, two, three, four, five states, 5 different states.
okay.
All they want to do is just give you meds. Like I only had 2 of them evaluate me for bipolar. I just said, "Hey, I'm bipolar. These are the meds I take. Can you refill them? Hey, I have a little more anxiety. Can I get a different pill for that?" That's it. I mean, just
No
yeah,
way.
30 minutes in there. Oh yeah, come check back in as couple next month, you know? And
Why is it like that?
I had one not even tell me she disappeared. She just disappeared. I was like, "Well, can you guys tell me where she went? Is there a doctor she left me with? Like, who's going to refill my meds?" And it's really hard in cities to get any kind of healthcare quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll go on those. And so yeah, that's the level of care they have. And so when I found this place, I let them know, "Hey man, this is what I think."
That's a space,
Oh, there'll be more. There'll be more. Now you're gonna put the headlights in.
but this is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, perfect. And so they were like, "Well, that's not us. We have this program." And I jumped on it. And man, it was life changing. I recommend it to anybody. Alexa doesn't have any mental health problems. I learned so much stuff that she could have learned from. And she has anxiety. I think a lot of people do, but
Mm-hmm.
that can be environmental. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to always be a chemical imbalance. Bipolar is a chemical imbalance in the brain. Has to be medicated as well as therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can't, and that's another thing with medication that I've learned during this path is medication is not the sutures. Medication is just a band aid, and
Mm.
the sutures are tied together with medication and like I guess medication would be the balm that keeps it from getting infected, and the sutures are the therapy that helps you heal your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so this program was life changing. And anybody out there with mental health, please go ask somebody about an IOP program. Look it up. Find some sort of. This was an extensive 10-week program, 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, 90 hours total. Life changing. And the people you meet there, you're gonna meet people that you're gonna probably never meet anybody like those people again. And like you said, there's a lot of people that just as many bad people as good people, but that gave me a little bit of hope that there's a lot of good people out there, like the ones I met in this program.
Mm.
And yeah, so that's been a life changer for sure, big time. Have you ever had to deal with any kind of like depression or anything like that?
Yeah.
Anxiety. I know you went through a lot. You were
Yeah.
saying you were very lonely when you got here. How did you? Well, first, like, what was that like, and then how did you cope? Like, how did you learn to cope with that?
Well, with when my me and my baby daddy separated, that was the reason why I drink a lot and smoke. Yeah,
Right.
because
Right.
in my head
So
I
you
want.
didn't do that before. That was something you
Mm-hmm.
picked up.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I wanted to like like if you have a broken family and you don't have like moms like dad like broken parents and stuff, you always want to have that idea of making one
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So we had the same vision
Yeah.
growing
So
up.
and then it didn't happen. It broke. So it's really depressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of like what made me really like um broke, like I
Mm-hmm.
was I broke down really really hard. But then at the same time, in time I started to realize that everything happens for a reason. It gave me my daughter Jara, and I feel like everything that I do now that's good, that's great, is because of her.
That's how I feel.
Because of the career day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't forget about that. There's like time I was telling my brother this like a few months ago when he came here. There's like a time where I was in a stop sign and I was driving. My gas was like almost empty and I was like so broke we couldn't even eat. And I was just like the steering wheel and I was looking like this and then I'm like asking God, that's like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Why me? Why me? Why is
Mm-hmm.
this so difficult? And then now I look back to it. it's because of this. You
Yeah.
you experience that because this is what you're meant for, you know? Because
Right.
if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't have this, you know?
I want to, it reminds me, I've been mentioning this a few times recently. There's this movie called Tubman,
Mm-hmm.
or no, sorry, it's called Harriet. It's about Harriet Tubman.
Mm-hmm.
And are you familiar?
No.
Okay, so she's this black woman,
Mm-hmm.
slave, and there's this Underground Railroad. Do you know about the Underground Railroad? How much about American history and slavery do you know? Not much?
Not
Okay,
much.
cool. So there's this woman, have to preface that. So there's this woman, Harriet Tubman, and it's called the Underground Railroad. She walked 100 miles and freed herself. Just left the plantation or wherever it was
Is
she
there a
was at.
movie about that?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah. It
think
just
so.
came out.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, not
Okay, so
yet. But
please go watch that movie. It'll make sense. And it honestly, your story reminded me of that because she frees herself, promises her husband, "I'm coming back." However long it took for her to get her freedom papers, that's what they were called, freedom papers, so she could go back into the enemy territory where all the slave owners and everything.
mm-hmm.
Any black person they saw, they're going, "Hey, show me your papers." Like an illegal immigrant, they're like, "Hey, I want to make sure you're allowed to be free. You weren't allowed to be free in this
Mm-hmm.
country in a time."
I think I watched that.
And
Yeah.
so she goes back. Her husband remarried, and she thought God took her there for her husband to go free him. She
Mm-hmm.
left with 6 more people and left him because he had a wife. He didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
leave, and that's why God sent her there. And she was having this moment in the movie like, why? Why did you do this? Like, I thought this is what you told me to do. What am
Mm-hmm.
I doing here? You told me this. You promised.
Mm-hmm.
And then she leaves. And when she gets done and freed all those people, she never lost a single person. And hundreds of people she saved and freed. And everyone else she's the only freedom fighter that ever did that. And she was a black woman, some sort of high-ranking officer in the Civil War. A black woman. Women don't have the right to vote,
Mm-hmm.
and they're fighting to free slaves. So first of all, you're not even considered a human being
Mm-hmm.
on the wrong side of the line.
Yep.
You're considered property,
Mm-hmm.
and on top of that, you're double property because women are already property.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to put that and you got through both those barriers and
Mm-hmm.
led an army, led soldiers, men into this battle. And it's incredible. And she died of old age. It's
Yep.
like, wow. And that was God's purpose for her. But she had to lose her family for that. And it looked like there was no tunnel to look for the light.
Mm-hmm.
And come full circle, she was able to appreciate all that. And kind of what you were saying, like it was for this purpose. Just how I thought I was supposed to go to Florida
Mm-hmm.
to get a closer connection with my father, which I did. And then I left, right? Thought I had this. I had bought a ring. I was going to propose to her, and it just didn't work out. And I thought I fucked it up. I was like, that was my opportunity. But that's why God put me there, because that was the foundation that started this life. And now I
Mm-hmm.
have a daughter, and now I'm able to create a better life. And one of the best things I heard in my program, someone that only had been there for 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone's on a different cycle. You can't be like, oh yeah, sorry you have mental health problems and you might kill yourself, but we don't have an opening for 3 weeks. So as soon as you say yes, they'll get you in the next week as long as it's approved or you can pay for it.
I can't find this one. Hold on.
Right there.
Yeah, but I need this one, right? No?
Oh yeah, okay. Whoa. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for that.
In this.
Oh, the clear one. Clear one. Oh, that's what happened. These aren't supposed to be that. You're supposed to have a
Oh.
clear one in the back and a clear one by plate or tile. So
Oh.
you'll have this. Yeah. So where'd that go? So you're gonna have like that. You're gonna have this in the back. Have that in the front. And bam. There you go. And you can duplicate it.
Okay.
So you're gonna need this and that. I don't know what we were talking about.
The program, like, oh,
Oh
like
yeah.
you just,
So
yeah.
people come and go, which kind of sucks because you build a bond with the people that were closest to your start date, and
Mm-hmm.
then as the new ones come in, like I had a friend that just graduated. I went there with him just to be there, because the people he was with didn't know him. They'd only been there 2 weeks, so I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I gotta go because I didn't feel right. So I
Mm-hmm.
took him up there. Um, this girl, she goes, I could tell that you're a great father, and that you like she affirmed everything I said I was going there for. She affirmed and like confirmed that I had done those things and I was in the process. So that was really, really powerful for me and impactful to know, like, because my whole goal going there was to be a better father and a better husband, and to break the cycle. That
Break the
was when
cycle.
they ask you when you get there, like, why are you here? And
Mm-hmm.
that was my purpose and that was my goal. And yeah, I it's really powerful. And that's really cool that you found yours in the darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the lowest of lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say that to break the cycle. It's like with my brother, it's like sometimes he blames the childhood and like how he was raised. And I said, yeah, so if you're going to blame that and you're going to be affected in a negative way, you're going to end up doing that to your kids and it's going to be a cycle. But
Yeah.
what you want to do is break the cycle.
Well, to that point, to that end, my father, he left. He wanted me aborted. He left. My mom's Christian, thank God. Refused to do it. She
Mm-hmm.
should have, though, by all means. Medical, she has MS. Shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have a baby. 9 months bedridden with me.
Mm.
That, talk about dedication and potentially like really big medical risks.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did, pursued it. I had many times I've almost died, should have died, and didn't. I'm here for a purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
that purpose, I believe in, I had a great history teacher, and I believe in social service. Like, not social services, but serving society and having a purpose. And I think people that pursue things that are a service, like boxing, right? There's a huge service for that in mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's a big deal. And oh, these are gonna have to go this way. That way it can hinge. And so, I kind of like your way actually. I'm gonna try that because then it won't move. Man, look at you modifying already. If you do it this way, it won't pivot, and then that means it'll stay straight and plumb level.
But can it? But you see?
You'll have to move them in. They got to
Oh.
go in one. Um. So, lost it again. Purpose and helping people. The
Yeah.
servitude, being
Mm-hmm.
in service,
Nope.
gives you a purpose. All right, let's figure this out. And so, we're gonna just move on from that subject. So now that your daughter's older, what does she think about that? And did that show her, like, did she take life lessons or did she try and treat it like your brother?
Oh, like with my daughter, we had like a very good relationship because I was by myself raising her. It wasn't hard for me to mold her the way I want her to be.
Right.
You know,
Okay. And
because
she
if you
didn't resent the hard times, or does she, like, towards her father, or
so basically what I did is I just let her like deal with it like, oh, if you want to see your dad, you can, like it's up to you. Like
okay.
I'm not gonna
And you
control
were
you.
honest
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
honest about it. Like if you want to see her, just tell me. If you want to see him, just tell me. And then at the end of the day, he didn't change. Like whatever was the reason why we separated, he's still the same. So
Damn.
and her growing up, she was seeing it,
Right.
and then so yeah. But for me, it's like with her, I feel like because we struggled a lot, so whatever we have right now, she's really appreciative.
Yeah. I
You
think
know.
that really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the way I was before, it's like an upgrade for her, like, oh, damn, like you did that
Yeah.
and she thinks she was the cause because of the career day. She remembers too. She remembers it
That's
too.
cool then. So she holds a little bit of like, I helped that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why we have a good relationship. We're really like friends too, but at the same
I'll
time,
let you put the icing on the cake. Good job.
she really like respect me. Like okay, I'm OCD. I'm really clean. Like
Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
so so
It's hard having a kid. when you're
And
OCD like that.
so she's really like, like right now, she's like, oh, my mom's not gonna like that. Oh, like this. Like she knows me so well. She cleans, like she knows what I want, like I don't even need to tell her because I mold her to be that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gave her character and morals, and you were able, so it
Mhm.
almost benefited to, in a sense, to be away from that and be able to
Mhm.
see it from an outside. So if you were seeing it firsthand, that might be what she's drawn to. But because you were able to stand, say this is not tolerated, and show her this is not
Mhm.
tolerated, and
Yep.
show her and say, look, I'm not going to put that evil on you. I'm not going to talk shit about him. I'm not going to tell you.
Mhm.
I'm going to let you learn it yourself.
Yes. And at the same time, like if you control them like if you control them like really exaggeratedly, like I don't know, like I feel like
They
they're not gonna be
resent you
their
for
own,
it.
yeah, they're not gonna be their own person.
Yep.
I
And
want her.
whether or not they end up, like, they may not resent you for a while, and then one day they're going to realize and hit
Yep.
that wall, and like, oh, I wish I'd have had a little more, like,
Mhm.
push, or not, you know,
Mhm.
things like like we were talking with the kids,
Mhm.
those kids that are getting the handouts and getting things done. Every mom and dad just take care of it. They're not learning life lessons at an age where they're valuable, because now when they learn them, it's going to have major consequences.
Yep.
And if you learn them young, small, little kid, little consequence.
Yes. And
Adult, big consequence.
I re
Same lesson.
yes, exactly. And I realized that sometimes before when I was by myself, right? I would like there's like you and Alexa together. It's like it's so like I'm jealous of that, like I should be with someone, I should, raise my kid with a father. And then I come to think of it now, and when I see like my friends that was single mom and then they met someone, down the road, or if they were still together but they have toxic relationship,
Right.
their kids are confused.
Yeah.
Like so now that I think about it, it was a blessing in disguise that I was by myself, because all the rules that I have, all the things that I wanted to happen or what I want her to do, it's all me.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with your your decision or your mindset.
Right.
So for me, I just think about it like that. It's okay to be alone because right now I don't have any complaints on how
Right.
she is.
And influence. You don't get that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that draw. I
They
think
always
the divorced house, like, you can have a absentee. Like, I had an absentee, right? My dad wasn't around at all.
Mhm.
So she had the ability to do that and mold
Mhm.
me. And I 100% give the credit to my mother. There was a lot of things I would like to wish that didn't happen, but also I want to be who I am if my dad hadn't left. And he came here for my daughter's birthday and acknowledged that. It was like,
Mhm.
look, I'm sorry, and I wish I would have been there, but I'm glad I wasn't. And that was like the biggest thing. I was like that meant a
Mhm.
lot. And he's apologized before, but to be able to, like, I was able to show him my childhood, and to be able to see it like that, it was different. And
Mhm.
because my mom was much like you with this is who your father was. These are the decisions he made. She didn't have to. I had a stepdad at 1 year old. I wasn't even a year when they met. They got married. I was a year old. Um, that was my dad. I call him daddy. This is his house.
Mhm.
This is my parents' house. And I didn't. He wasn't very vocal. He didn't give me the love I needed, especially as a son that didn't have a father. My blood father, and he wanted me to be his son. And my mom was like, "No, we have to tell him. I mean, I am his son, but he wanted to not. He didn't want me to know about my real father."
Mhm.
And my mom was like, "Nope. Even though he doesn't want to be a part of Dylan's life, we have to tell him, and I'm
Mhm.
going to tell him, and he will know." And I was very young, but always know it caused more problems, confusion for me,
Mhm.
and it's always going to linger. And but
It's hard for you because you have a stepdad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and a good one, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't. He didn't say I'm proud of you. He didn't say I love you. He didn't give me the things I wish I would have had because he was my dad, right? But I didn't get fatherly love from
Mm.
him. But growing up, that was the case. Now, as an adult, there is no greater love that a man can show than to raise another man's child. That is the greatest love in the
Yeah.
world. And it doesn't have to be spoken. But
Yep.
I can't appreciate that as a kid. I have to, that's something you learn as an
In time, yeah.
adult.
Mhm.
And so that was one of the things I had said in my group. Like, I don't want her to appreciate me later. I don't want her to be like, why is dad gone now and working? And then later be like, oh, he worked so we could do this. He was absent 6 months out of the year working out of town so he could do this. And that's another motivator to change
Mhm.
because my career, the most lucrative career is on the road,
Mhm.
and staying home has its benefits. But then when things do get slow or whatever does happen, there's always fluctuation in construction and just in life in general.
Mhm.
There might be a time where I have to go to the road, and I don't want to have to make that decision anymore. And
Mhm.
I've come to the point where I don't want to be that nomad. And I always loved the nomad. I love being a nomad, but
Mhm.
I've changed and I don't want that anymore. And because my mom did that for me and ripped the band-aid off immediately, I was able to grow. At 14 years old, I told my mom, I said, you know what? I want to invite him to my graduation. I'm graduating 8th grade. I ended up getting some award, not valedictorian, but some honors that I didn't even know. And that wasn't why I was calling. I just happened to get some award. And he came. And my mom sits me down and goes, look, I'm going to make this phone call for you, but do not bet on him coming. He's not reached out. He
Mhm.
doesn't. She never made him pay child support. I think he paid like 100 a month, just enough so there was no legal problems or anything.
Mhm.
But he had no ties to me. He had all but written off his rights. He might have written off. I don't know. Uh, but she, even then at 14, just like she did when I was a kid, laid it out fucking blunt and cold and hard pill to swallow as a kid, right? And you want to fantasize. Like I said, you're going to see people in a different light at that age. And you're going to want to dream. You're going to try and see him as someone you imagine he is and not
Mhm.
who he really is. So she laid it out like, this is who he is. This is his track record. If you still want me to make that call, I will.
Mhm.
And she did. And he showed up. And he only stayed for 2 days. Showed up day of graduation and left in the next day and then left the third day.
Mhm.
And then that set the trajectory. And his father did unto him as was done to me. His dad
Mm.
left. He was born in the Bahamas. His mom moved back to the States. His dad stayed. Never
Mm.
met him until he was in his 40s. Met him once and he died. Yeah, I never got to meet him. Met him and died, like right within 6 months of meeting his father. And
Damn.
I call him, and it's his 39th year of life. And I go a couple months later, I go in August or September to his, or August, I guess, because his birthday is August 10th. So I go to
Mhm.
his birthday party, and man, talk about a different experience. You got so many people there, and this party is huge and this big deal. 40th is a big deal. And I'm just meeting my step parents, my mom, my stepmom, my brother and sister, and 50 other people. And I felt so out of place, and talk about feeling like isolated and alone.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody, and that whole night I didn't get to spend with my family. Right, there's all these people, and so, but that started. And why did a 14-year-old? How I still ask this question every day. Like, how did I have that level of insight at 14? Why was I not angry?
Mhm.
Every person I've talked to at 14 or as a child that had an abandoned father, they hold resentment or abandoned anyone that had left them. Like that's why I asked, did she hold resentment?
Mm-mm.
Because, but you were up front and you let her make that decision. And maybe if he hadn't come, things would be different, but he did.
Mhm.
And he tells me sometime later, like, man, I didn't really start reflecting on my life because like I said, I've been very introspective and sometime in my 20s, and I'm already in Oregon and we're talking. He's like, Dylan, I didn't even have the ability to think like that until I was 40. Well, guess who he met at 40? Me. And I changed his life by giving him the ability, like, because of the insight that some little 14-year-old 3,000 miles away had.
Mhm.
It made him a better person. And so that just kind of set me up to not hold resent, it like reinforced the idea of openness and to
Yep.
give people that second chance and to not hold things against people
Mhm.
because anybody can change. Yeah.
Anybody can change.
Yeah.
Anybody can break the cycle if they want to.
Yep. And not only to be like, you know what I did, and it is what it is, and now we're here, but the ability to be big enough to
Mhm.
face that time and time again and continually apologize only
Mhm.
shows extreme growth. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And pursues to be in my life, and yeah, it shows growth.
True.
And it at the time he was the person that I needed because he didn't treat me like a parent. He was a parent
Mhm.
and he gave me parental advice, but when I came to him with bad shit I was doing or financial problems or whatever, he didn't school me. He didn't lecture me. He goes, okay, problem, solution. How are we gonna get
Mm.
there? How'd you
Yeah.
get here?
Yeah,
How'd you
I'm
get
like
here?
that
And
too.
tell me everything that's going on here, and then let's figure out how to get here.
Yeah.
And he still to this day does that, and I gotta I really want to practice that. I want to be able to
I'm like
give her
that.
that insight without having the emotional attachment of an argument or and just be able
Yeah.
to like sit down and be like, look, you got yourself here, and essentially I also learned this in group, but boundaries. It's a boundary
Mhm.
thing. Like, hey, if you do this, there will be a consequence, and not just be like wait for the. I did a lot of like getting in trouble after the fact, like consequences came later. And then
Mhm.
obviously I got old enough to know if I do this, this will happen. But it
Mhm.
wasn't set up that way as a kid. Like, hey,
Mhm.
if you grab that, I'm going to have to take it away for good
Mhm.
because you are not. And maybe it was, and I just wasn't able to do that. But there was a lot of yelling and stuff in my family. I didn't have the ability to think like that. I
Mhm.
was always looking now, was always in a sense of flight. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Never like really had ability to breathe. And
Mm.
so uh yeah, that I want to make sure that doesn't happen and that I'm able to just communicate to her like
Mhm.
that.
And the thing I also learned, based on my experience, is that I barely get mad because I feel like there's no point of getting mad. It's just
Yes.
gonna cost you wrinkles.
Ooh,
Yeah. So,
I'm talking to myself here.
so for me, if I only get mad if it's betrayal, if you steal from me, or like if you cheat, of course,
Yeah.
but other than that, if you forget to do the laundry, it's okay. Even if it's for a month, that's your laundry, like, you know what I mean? I'll do
I
mine.
need to work on that part a little bit.
Like for
The
me,
OCD comes out and I'm
I said
working through it.
and then now I'm trying to think like, oh, is this upsetting? Like, is this upsetting right there? So
Right.
the old me would like, what the
Make sure
fuck?
it's like totally
What the
lined up
fuck?
on the
Right? Like, I was like, who did this?
Yeah.
But now I'll just fix it, whatever.
Right.
Like, so I trained my mind to be like that because what I did is like, I'm supposed to be stronger than this.
Yeah.
Like, I carry this. Why is this controlling me, right?
Yes.
Or this,
Okay.
right?
I like that.
So there's no point of being mad if it's reversible. Like, if it's fixable, why mad? Why
Yeah.
why you get mad? It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. So.
I've always said that, and I grew up in a household of anger. My stepdad, he graduated anger management and got the cops called on him that night
Mm.
with fight with the neighbor. Like that's and like I said, yelling and chaos, total chaos. And so I've always been under this impression of anger only hurts the person that's mad. If I
Mhm.
piss you off, I'm going home and I'm gonna have a nice steak dinner and I'm gonna go to bed with my wife. I'm not thinking about you.
Yeah.
You're gonna go home and all you do is think about me.
Yes,
And
exactly.
your daughter's trying to get your attention and you're thinking about me and now you're taking it out on her and it's
Yeah.
a projected thing.
Yep.
And I had to realize like, okay, so I do have that problem. I do get mad. I do get irritable, but I've I have this philosophy on anger. So I've called it something else. But at the end of the day, if this emotion is triggered, whether you let it out or not, or whether you choose to take it in a different path with less emotion, it's
Yes.
still the thoughts
Yeah.
are the same, right?
Yeah.
So no matter how you express it in your head, it's still there. And so I've realized through my group, through the IOP, everything that anyone does is because the reason anyone's going to get upset is because someone else was being inconsiderate to you.
Mhm.
And the thing that has helped me with that is to realize not everyone is as kind as me. Not everyone is as thoughtful as me. Not
Mhm.
everyone cares to the level that I care.
Yes.
And I can't get upset when they don't care
Yes,
because they're not
exactly.
as kind as me in that sense. Not that they're not kind, not that they're not great people, but to the level that like if I see a truck on the side of the road, I get over.
Mhm.
I don't keep driving. I get over
Mhm.
unless I can't.
Mhm.
That's the type of I don't I ride motorcycles, so I keep a different level of distance from the car in front of me,
Mhm.
whether it's a motorcycle or not. Like there's just things that I live in a life of danger at
Mhm.
work and everything, so it's in probably enhanced the sensibility to be like my sensitivity towards others and to
Mhm.
see the dangers and all these things and just so I understood like okay, I'm extra sensitive to being considerate of others, and
Mhm.
they're not, and I can't expect that.
Yeah.
And it's doing a disservice to our relationship, to me, to my family, and everybody that is in this orbit around me because of someone else's thing that they like my philosophy. They don't remember, they don't care. And it's because I felt like it was inconsiderate and they didn't consider how it would affect me or you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's not so much anger. It's just anger is the way you express that feeling.
Yeah, and the way I explain it to my daughter too when she gets really emotional, and I said because of her friends or like cousins that upset her, the best way I explain it to her is that you cannot control the situation, you cannot control the other person, you can't control anything. The
Right.
only thing you can control is the way you react to the situation or that person or whatever they did to you.
Yes.
So you this is all you can control, but everything else outside you cannot.
Right.
So how are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
So are you just gonna cry? Are you just gonna get angry? It's like what does it do to you?
That's big
You know?
conversation for a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I never had those talks. I
Like
needed them. Now
yeah.
I'm doing them as an adult in a program with other people that didn't get that talk. That's really cool to see.
Yeah, like even now with if I meet someone like a relationship, it's like when they get mad, it's like, why are you even mad? And they
Yeah.
think I'm a sociopath.
I had to ask my mom the other day. I'm talking to my grandma and I said something to her that she thought was wrong, which I also was like, okay, so the argument or the discussion turned into an argument. The discussion was uh, science says bipolar or mental health, you can have a genetic, like, you can lean, your genetics can make you lean, like, to be susceptible to it, but it's not a guarantee that you'll get it. And then I
Mhm.
continually run into these psychiatrists that are like, is it in your genes? Is it in your family? Is it in your family? I was
Mhm.
like, oh, well, my great grandma had some mental health and her brother, that's three generations, right? Like, it doesn't work like that. It's got to be somewhere. And so I was having this conversation with my grandma, and she was talking about how she had depression. And so that's how it started. And I was like, well, my mom, not that she doesn't have any issues, and she won't watch this, so I don't care. But she's not diagnosed with anything, and she won't even try and go get the help or even go to therapy. Or everybody needs therapy, whether you have health problems or not. Something
Mhm.
happened in your life at work, at home, at the
Mhm.
stoplight. Something happened. You had
Mhm.
some sort of experience. You could talk out for
Mhm.
sure. Everybody, and I
Mhm.
believe that. And whether that's a therapist or your friend, someone always vents to somebody.
Mhm.
And going to a professional is a lot better way to process that. And if that's necessary, some people can handle it. But I don't think that anyone would go to therapy and put the work in and be like, yeah, it wasn't worth it.
Therapy helps because when my ex left me, I was mad at him. Like, why did you do this to me? Why did you
Right.
hurt me? Right. Then now I went to therapy and then they explained to me that, at that point of his life, he's not thinking about you. He's thinking about himself.
Right.
What makes him happy? He didn't want to hurt you, but you got hurt of the process of him making himself happy.
Collateral damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not intentionally, like
Yeah.
because how is he gonna talk to you and tell you in Thanksgiving Day that, oh, I'm gonna leave? No, he's not gonna do that because
Right.
he's
Well, and
you
think about
know
it too, right? why did you do that to me? Why were you not considering me? Why
Yeah.
were you being
Yes.
inconsiderate?
Yep.
You weren't considering how that would affect us
Mm-hmm.
and not thinking about the consequences
I
of
think
what.
he was just selfish, but
Yeah,
he did not intentionally like, oh, I want to hurt you so bad, you know.
right.
I don't think anybody can do that, you know. Like
No.
that's just so like,
Well,
you
I
know.
don't know if I'd say any. There, like we said, there's bad people out
Yeah,
there. There's
exactly.
people that
Yep.
could. I would love to believe that it's not possible, but yeah, like even it seems that way, right? And even I guess that comes. You could even relate that to the Tubman story. Like
Mm-hmm.
he did what was best for him. He probably assumed his wife was gonna die on the way out and never get free, and if she
Exactly.
did, she wasn't gonna risk coming back to die again. So he
Exactly.
took care of him.
Yes.
And maybe this man
He's
knew,
with someone right
like,
now, and they're
it could have
happy.
been something, yeah. And like, so my dad, right? He left, and he has this beautiful family, and I have a brother and sister thanks to him. And
Mm-hmm.
I met my wife out there. If he'd
Mm-hmm.
stayed, I wouldn't have turned into the man I am today. I wouldn't have got to live on this ranch. I wouldn't know what it is to ride. We probably would live in San Jose, where I was born, and my mom lived in Monterey, and I would be a totally different person, you know. And so, yeah, you can't. That helps knowing that you become who you are. And if they had been around, yeah, of course you wish that. But if it had happened, you wouldn't be the person you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're okay with that
Yep.
person, it probably helps if you're okay with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, it would fuel the resentment.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to the point of being like content in the person that you are in your mental space, yeah, I don't hold that against him. And now learning about how his father did like we had that discussion, I'm like, oh, you didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't know any better. And yeah, he didn't have any faith to lean on. And I
Mm-hmm.
did. And that probably is a big reason that helped.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Mm.
We've
Well,
been talking for like.
yeah, I was going to say that's pretty much right on 2:30. That was a perfect ending. You built most of this car. That was cool.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. That was a great conversation. Man, we'll have to do it again someday. Once you come get some things moving, if you want to come back and you have a location, you need to put
Oh
anything out
yes,
there.
yep.
Welcome you back anytime. This is
Alright.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe we should build a bigger one.
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe next time we'll get one that's going to take a couple podcasts to finish. All right.
All
Well,
right.
thanks everybody for watching. And this is Jaja, and she is
Shasta
with
Boxing.
Shasta Boxing. Put out your socials. How can they find you?
Oh, we have an Instagram, Shasta Boxing Club, and then Shasta Boxing Club _YWP. And then our website is shastaboxingclub.net.
Right on. And if you want to see this video, go to Brick Fever on YouTube and look up the Lego Chronicles, and you'll find it. If you Google Lego Chronicles, you'll find all access to it. And you can get this on anything that you listen to. So share it and let people know. Thanks. We're out.
Yep. Damn.
I got
That was a lot.